welcome to the 72nd episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense anime podcast, where I'm always right and the other two are always wrong. Today, we're covering the 10th week of the fall 2018 anime season. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we will be spoiling everything per usual. My name is Leo, and one day I'm going to give half of my unfinished rice bowl to someone who loves Doriku, just like me. Also with me are Bcom and Kat.
Hey.
Hi, always right, Leo. How are you doing? I'm Bcom.
I'm doing great. I expected Kat to yell at me.
I held back. Like Toko in goddamn, Bloom Into You. I held myself back.
I was expecting Kat to be cussing me out as I finished the rest of that intro.
It's fine.
Not as good reaction as I got. I'll try harder next time.
Yeah, you gotta try harder than that, Leah. That's all.
Man, I thought it was... So, what kind of nonsense did you guys get into this week? Bcom, how about you start, please?
I'll start with my long tail. So, okay. A friend of mine was talking about watching Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei and how there was like a reference in it to this movie called the Nankyoku Monogatari, which is this old movie, translates to Antarctica story. It's also known as Antarctica. It's from like 1983, and I was like, oh, this movie sounds interesting. I might as well check this out. So I found, like, you can just Google it. It's like all up on YouTube. I don't know how legal that is, but whatever. That's where I watched it. It's based on this true story of like a 1958 Japanese science expedition to the South Pole, which goes really wrong because the weather turns bad, and so the expedition is forced to like return to their boat. Basically, they're like icebreaker, and they chain up all of their husky dogs, these Sakhalin huskies, and leave them behind with some food, expecting like the second team to come right back in a few days once the weather clears up. But it turns out the weather is so bad that the huskies are just stranded there, and literally for like 11 months to just fend for themselves. Luckily, yeah, it's pretty sad. But luckily, most of them are able to break free from their chains. But then still, they have to try to survive on their own in Antarctica for that entire time.
What were they eating?
Puppies.
So at first, they were eating the stuff that they left behind, which was like fish parts and stuff. But one of the things they find to eat, like when like the ice shifts in Antarctica, it drives like salmon or like what other fish there are up in between the cracks of the ice. So they eat that for a little bit, and they eat penguins and seals and stuff like that.
I was wondering if they ate penguins.
And like birds. So they do survive for a little bit. It's a truly incredible movie. Like, first, it's 1983, so like it's a little grainy, but like the shots they get are just incredible. A lot of the film was shot in Antarctica, though a lot of it was also filmed in like the very northern tip of Hokkaido in Japan. But like regardless, it's like a really believable Antarctic landscape, and so you feel like you're there. It's really cool. But like the true star of this movie is those husky dogs. Like they give these incredibly moving performances that like constantly had me going, like, how the hell did the filmmakers get these dogs to do this? Like, I don't understand. It's incredible what they do. And also, really notably, the soundtrack was composed by Vangelis, who's really famous for his Chariots of Fire and Blade Runner soundtracks from the same time that have that like booming Yamaha CS80 synthesizer sound in the background. And it's really present in this film soundtrack, too, and it's really well used. This was, like, one of the most popular movies ever in Japan. Until Princess Mononoke came along, it was the highest grossing movie of all time in Japan. And then there was an American remake made with Paul Walker called 8 Below, which you might have seen, which had a lot more mixed reviews. It also apparently, like, changes a lot of the basic facts of what happened and like kind of tones down some of like the sadder parts. But yeah, the other thing I found really interesting about this is that it's in Antarctica and it takes place at Showa Base, which is the place where the girls in A Place Further Than the Universe are, like, when they get to Antarctica. It's the same, research base. And in a lot of the ways, the movie feels really similar to that show. What's up?
Did they have any other research bases or just the one?
I think that's the main Japanese research base in Antarctica. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. They keep going back there.
Yeah. The movie feels similar because two of the scientists from the expedition to Antarctica in the movie feel incredible guilt over leaving the dogs behind, and they're constantly wondering like what happened to them if they survived, and they really want to get back there. And it just obviously reminded me of Shirase in The Place for the Universe.
I don't give a shit if they feel constant guilt. They shouldn't have chained up the dogs if they knew they were going to leave them. That was
They
dumb.
didn't know they were going to leave them.
The second group was supposed to come and get them.
Yeah, they didn't know they were going to leave them, and they wanted to go back immediately, but they couldn't. They didn't have enough fuel to go back, and if they wanted to make more fuel, they would have had to waste like limited water supply on the ship. Like, there's a whole bunch of reasons why they just could not go back, and it like tore them up inside. But yeah, it's not all bad news. Well, actually, before I say that, like, there's also like referential shots in A Place for the Universe. Like, after I watched this movie, I went back and just looked and skimmed through A Place for the Universe, and like I noticed these shots of like these flags whipping in the wind around the Showa base in the anime that are totally from this movie. So they're very aware of it. And there's that episode where the girls go to the Polar Science Museum in Tachikawa, Japan, and you see the statues of these husky dogs outside, or maybe not these husky dogs, but husky dogs in general. I think these are the ones though. And at that museum, like the lives of these dogs are like documented there, like, and especially Taro and Jiro, who those two dogs are considered like Japanese national heroes to this day. So yeah, I would highly recommend seeking out and watching this movie, Antarctica from 1983. If you are sensitive to bad things happening to dogs in movies, you might have a little trouble with this one. Without spoiling too much, there is a non-zero number of dogs who die in this movie. But if you can get past that, it is a really, really fantastic film. So, yeah, highly recommend it.
Nice.
Cool.
How you guys doing?
You go, Kat. You had a more exciting week than I did.
I had a holiday party I went to last weekend. It was a lot of fun. Hang out with a lot of people I hadn't hung out with a little bit. Saw a guy in a Santa, like a suit, like in the traditional sense of like a CEO style suit, but it was like red and green and had like holiday patterns on it. So I don't know where the fuck he got that. But it was impressive.
Custom tailored, who knows?
Yeah. You want me to tell the other part that I told you?
If you want to.
You don't have to, but yeah, please.
We met up with one of my friends who she just had a baby like 6 months ago, and she came out, and it was like their first time out, and she kept complaining later on in the night that like her boobs hurt because she'd been breastfeeding and she hadn't like pumped or whatever before she left like the baby with the babysitter. And we all got trashed. And at some point, I was like, "I'm sorry, your boobs hurt." And I like reached out and like squeezed her boob, and like she got milk like all over the top, like the breast, and like it got on my hand, and I was like, "Oh."
Oh my god.
So that was funny.
Man.
But we were all trashed, so we all just laughed about it. It was fine.
Why do you just have to milk your friends, Kat? That's so weird. Oh, God.
Okay. Mine was a very non-exciting week so far. About as exciting as it got was when I went to my dentist appointment, which was actually today. And I did an x-ray, and I actually got to see the roots of my teeth, and they said they were really, really deep. And that's
so
good.
Deep.
Yeah, that's really good.
Did they say it like sexy porn style? Like, did you feel like this was going to turn into something R-rated? They're like, your roots are so deep. We have to inspect further.
That would have been really weird because my mom's a dental assistant there. And
that would have been a little awkward.
That was really awkward. Yeah, so that's how exciting my week has been. But on the bright side, as of recording this, I only got to work one more day tomorrow, and I'm off for 11 days. And
holy shit,
that's
dude.
Awesome.
That's a lot.
Super looking forward to that. Yeah,
excited for you.
Yeah, this weekend, and then all the week of Christmas, and then we get New Year's Eve and New Year's Day off. So I don't go back till Wednesday.
And then everyone will come in on that Wednesday, and it will be the worst work day that you have ever seen. Everyone will be completely silent. and upset. That's what I predict.
There'll be a lot of people burning their vacation they just got back.
Yeah.
That always happens. They're like, fuck going back. I'll take the rest of the week off.
All right. How about you guys say we move on to some anime talk?
Go for it, Kat.
All right. Girl in Twilight, episode 10. Liar's Party. Whoop, whoop. Okay. So in this episode, our favorite girls also had a party. Not as fun of a party though. There was no alcohol involved. So the episode starts with them coming back from Siriusca's fragment. So we find out that they can't go back because they try and they can't get it to go. And they're like, fuck! And Asuka's like freaking out. And she's like, the fragment's gone! What does that mean? Why can't we freaking go back? And Arrow Yu shows up and is like, listen, Asuka, like, Siriusca would have wanted you to have her locket. Like, Siriusca's gone. And, like, hugs her. And I just thought to myself, like, off-screen death? No. Mm-hmm. Anime has taught me not to trust this, so...
I kind of want to believe she's dead, though. Because, like, I feel like it's better if she is. Because then that really gives, like, this Asuka the motivation to do what she needs to do. And, like, continue on, like... Because, like, she is Asuka, right? Like, yes, that was another Asuka from another timeline. But, like, we can see her influence on the current Asuka. So, like, this is a weird situation where, like, I wouldn't feel, like, bad if the other Asuka had, like, passed away. Like, because, like, we have this Asuka who is, like, a main character who it kind of simplifies things, like, as like, ruthless as that is to say.
It kind of simplifies things. Oh, my God. I don't know. Like, it feels like, honestly, I sometimes wish that the real Asuka died and that Siriusca like took over her place in this world, because I get really irritated with Asuka, especially this episode.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, so the midterms are apparently over, and Asuka hasn't shown up to school that whole week because she's like sad about Siriusca dying, and then suddenly Asuka comes out like on the roof dancing to this fucking loud as shit music, like an obnoxious 12-year-old. And apparently she took the midterms all like today, all in one day, and she's acting like
sounds
dumb
like
as
Asuka to me.
No, she's acting dumb as shit, super cheerful, like she has 2 brain cells in her head that she's rubbing together to be able to talk. Then she harasses the teacher about how he's gonna propose to his girlfriend, which, like, whoa, that's his business. And then, I don't know, she just continues to be just a giant tool. I don't know, she's obnoxious.
She's putting on a front, like, she's acting ridiculous.
She is acting, like, it's pretty obvious that she's trying to act for, like, oh, I'm so cheerful, even though my friend just died, tee-hee-hee, but, like, it really just makes you want to slap her upside the face because it's obnoxious.
Yeah.
And it's obviously fake. Asuka, okay, so at this point, Asuka is very adamant that they need to keep fighting clutters, like Siriusca was doing before she died. And the others, like, agree, but, like, there's not a lot of enthusiasm in how they agree. And it makes me think, like, they weren't gonna do it if she didn't suggest that they do it.
I don't think they were planning on doing it.
And so I'm kind of like, why would you agree to do something that risks your life and, like on a whim? Like, you would think you'd have to be pretty adamant about wanting to do, I don't know. It feels weird to me that they're like, well, I guess we'll do this, even though it's going to take up a large amount of our life and could lead to us dying in a terrible way. But since you suggested it to us in passing, we'll definitely do this. Like, it just feels weird to me.
Yeah, I feel like the experiences they've had in the alternate timelines, like, have informed their desire to go do it.
But I don't know. Is it really their desire to go do it if they weren't going to do it on their own? I'm just saying. Like,
that's a good question.
There's not a lot of motivation here I'm feeling from the other people. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I also felt like they felt kind of obliged they needed to. I mean, they have this power, and then this threat is out there and what's stopping it from coming to them. So maybe they should or not.
Yeah, like they saw another world get like eaten away by the Twilight, and there's no reason it couldn't happen to their own world. And also, it looks like it is going to start happening, so they're going to be forced into this no matter what.
Different. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
You remembers that Asuka was like this same fake happy type thing that she is now after she came back and her brother disappeared. And that was also when she started wanting to take over the miso shop. Like, you find out, like, originally she wanted to make chikuwa. That, like, I don't know what that fucking thing is. It's like some sort of snack.
It's like salted fish paste or something. I'll look it up.
Yeah, because we need to look up what this is. Because, like, if she was going to have a chikuwa shop, like, we need to know what the... Because, like, at one point, they make a chikuwa cake, and if it's salted fish paste, then that's fucked up. And we need to know so that we can put her on blast. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's made from surimi, which is, like, a paste made from fish or other meats. And then, like, salt and sugar. Yeah, so it's like salted fish paste.
So I'm going to say right now, we haven't even gotten to the part in the story where she makes a chikuwa cake. But, like, that's fucking disgusting. And she deserves to be put in culinary hell for that. Shame on her.
Gordon Ramsay should just scream at her in a kitchen for like 5 minutes, probably, for that.
Ain't nobody
she would
got
just
time
stare dumbly at him
to eat a fucking fish paste cake. No. So anyway, Asuka proposes doing like so. She's wanted to make like this gross fish paste shit. Like, come on, between miso and fish paste, tell me which one you want to fucking eat, Bcom.
Miso, definitely.
Duh. So, like, I'm glad that her fucking brother disappeared. So she had some sense knocked into that tiny little brain of hers. I don't care why she wanted to make chikuwa. It's disgusting. Anyway, she proposes doing a Christmas party. And she makes this fucking chikuwa cake. And they all eat it like fucking dumbasses. To make her happy.
Well, no, it was a real cake. They said she was like, I want to make it out of real chikuwa, but they didn't have like the ingredients or something, so I just made a real cake.
Well, well, good. Like, once again,
yeah, good, exactly.
They intervened.
That's why they're like so
and
relieved.
Stopped her. Thank God. Anyway. Meanwhile, that creepy version of Asuka's brother, like, arrives sinisterly, like, into their universe, and you're like, oh, fuck, this is that time where shit's gonna go down. One of the street kids comes to the shop while they're having the Christmas party, and he's dressed, like, really fancy, and seems to be kind of trying to adjust to their world with his mom and dad. And at one point, they all the girls dress up as reindeer, and I'm like, why do they always have them dress in weird costumes? And then
so the show does bring this up, but before it did, I was like thinking this is so morally fucked up that Twilight Takumi is replacing regular Takumi.
Mm-hmm.
Like he basically erased the other dude from existence since he can't go back to the Twilight world. And like I want to say, taking over somebody's life to defeat some clutter for a week is like one thing, and I believe acceptable since it's kind of a necessary, but like. It's just crazy, and like Twilight, Asuka like made this decision. I don't know what she was thinking. It's just fucked up.
It's a little fucked up for sure.
Well, didn't she say? Yeah, I guess that it is fucked up. It's probably like, well, but I know this person, so they're more important to me than the person I don't know. It's like the idea where, like, if you had like one of your friends. And you knew by doing something that someone you didn't know would die, but your friend would survive, like you'd probably do it. It's probably like that. But yeah.
There's a paradox specifically about that. I can't. Just go ahead. Go on.
I mean, if you want to debate paradoxes, we can sit here all day.
No,
let's not do that.
No, okay.
Go ahead.
Becomes like, I'm gonna stop you there. Anyway, Asuka tells like Takumi at one point that he should like make a wish. And he ends up using the wish, and he's like, "Oh, I wish that Siriska would like live and come back." And Asuka's like, "Fuck!" and has that look in her head where she's like, "Flashback to terrible memories," and like, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, you know, you're feeling it. And then suddenly Asuka suddenly proclaims excitedly that Siriska is probably fine and is gonna show up any day now because she loves the miso here. And she'll definitely come back. And then later, after the party is over, Yu is like, you shouldn't have said that, Asuka. Like, that's fucked up. And, like, you gave him false hope, and you know she's not coming back because she's fucking dead. And Asuka's like, well, you don't know. She could be alive. And Yu's like, well, but Arrow Yu said she saw Sirius could die. And Asuka's like, well, maybe Arrow Yu's lying. And Yu is offended by this. And basically is like, if anyone's a liar, it's you, Asuka, because, like, you fucking lied to that kid. And Asuka's like, yeah, I'm a liar. And I just reminded of that, like, country song. Like, yeah, I'm a liar. You know the one I'm talking about?
I don't listen to country.
Definitely not. I don't listen to country music.
Anyway. Well, I live in Indiana, so I've listened to my share of country. Anyway. And she claims, like, you all think I'm coasting through life and taking it easy since my brother died. But, like, I'm not taking it easy. And, you know, I sometimes say things that come from my heart. And Yu's like, I've never fucking heard you say shit that comes from your heart. You're not genuine in any way. And, like, that's a shot. Like, to tell someone they're never genuine in their life, like, oh, that's tough. And Asuka basically turns into, like, chick Sasuke or, like, chic Sasuke at this point. And it's like
another Sasuke reference. God damn it,
saying,
dude! I told you, Kat loves her Naruto. It's insane.
Like character, or like an emo character in an anime, I'm immediately like thinking Sasuke references, and she's just like, "There's no point in me saying anything then," and then just like dramatically walks out. Like she should have like the arm warmers on and like the goth pants on at this point because that's what she's acting like. And Nana basically says they just have to try a different way to, like, talk to her. And meanwhile, Asuka is, like, sitting on the swings on the way home, and she's thinking back to a day where, like, I guess her and her brother, like, were out, and she was using the swing, and her brother's like, oh, we need to go home soon, because apparently he was always more mature than her, even though he's the fucking younger brother, which is sad, and says a lot, honestly. And Yu explains in the background as this like flashback is going on that Asuka like looked away for a second and her brother just disappeared. And of course Asuka feels responsible, like no duh that you would feel that way even if it's not your fault. And all of a sudden Asuka is like thinks she sees her brother Kyo, and so she runs after the figure, and at the same time at the shop Mia urges the others that they should all try to find Asuka and like talk to her, and they all run towards the park while she runs towards the ocean. So Asuka goes to the ocean and she sees this figure and she imagines like, oh, maybe Kyo got swept away by the ocean that day. And then suddenly like this figure comes out on the beach and like she's like, oh, Kyo, it's you. And the figure's like, no, I'm not the king of Twilight and I'm not Kyo. I'm the emissary of Twilight. And she like pulls back her hood and you find out it's like another version of Asuka, not Kyo, but like a younger version of Asuka.
Yeah, it was Asuka.
Yeah, but it's like
so
Asuka
confused.
as a little kid. It's like
Yeah.
So that's
so
weird.
like I don't know if the emissary the one who was in the hood last episode in Twilight,
they had
Asuka's world?
Same get up.
Yeah, so I think so. Yeah, I guess we were wrong about who that was. Like, I remember thinking, like, when we got like a brief look at that like kid's face, I was like, their eyes are drawn like a little girly, but I still think like I went and compared that with Kyo's face, and I was like, no, I think that matches up. But like, I guess it was like, you know, I mean, they're brother and sister. They're drawn to look very similar to each other, so they tricked us.
Yeah. So if it's just a young version of Asuka, where the fuck did Kyo go then?
Well, but she said that she's the emissary of Twilight, so like probably the brother is still the king. Yeah. But
Jesus.
like Asuka is like his little bitch girl to like go do things for him, basically.
I'm very curious what the point of this emissary is at all. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what that's about. I also thought it was kind of weird this episode that like Asuka is all of a sudden like not facing her problems like head on. Like throughout this whole show, she's been like so proactive about like fixing everything, and like I guess it's just when it comes to her own issues and her own problems that she can't be direct and straightforward.
Yeah,
I don't know. It just felt a little out of character.
They completely changed her character, in my opinion. Like they all of a sudden were like, "Hello, darkness, my old friend." Like it was dumb.
Serious Gut and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. Yeah. Fucking weird episode.
Yeah,
Speaking of fucking weird episodes, you ready for
Golden
Kamuy second season?
Yeah.
On the night of the new moon. This episode opens with the scene of Asurpa, who's imagining Hoochie singing in this wheat field as she's like harvesting grain. But then quickly moves to Asurpa telling Sugimoto, you should eat more kiwi berries that are called kuchi, apparently, in Ainu, because they'll make your asshole itch. So I was like, oh, okay, it's Golden Kamuy again.
Well, and I'm like, wait,
and then he starts eating a whole bunch.
I know, I'm like, why do they want his asshole to itch? What the fuck is this? What is this kinky shit? It's weird.
It is weird.
That's not a normal response. I really want my ass to itch tonight. That sounds like a fun time.
There is nothing worse being in like a business or group setting and your asshole starts to itch. Because it is one of those itches it's so fucking hard to ignore.
Well, the good news is that Sugimoto has like an orgy of other guys who can help him with that itch in various ways.
Yeah, they can scratch it in certain ways.
Meanwhile, the gang have finally reached Abashiri prison, but Asurpa, upon getting there, is like really fearful now that she's come this far to find the truth out about Nopperabo and her father. But since it's salmon spawning season, Sugimoto, Tanigaki, and Kiraranki are all able to bribe some of the prison guards with like salmon to like allow them to build this makeshift hut right next to the walls of the prison, which is right adjacent to this river that they're fishing at. And so they use this hut to obscure the tunnel they're building to get into the prison grounds.
I would like to say, terrible idea to build your prison right next to a river that floods. You know, like rivers do.
They do have a wall at least.
That must be one hell of a wall they got around that place.
Yeah. They used the hut to obscure that tunnel, and then back at the local Ainu village, we get a brief funny scene of Asurpa showing everyone how to make cheetah top from salmon parts, and Chikapasi asks if you can use like a samurai sword to chop up the fish, and Toshizo like thinks about it for a second, hilarious, he's like yes, and you see like Hijikata like helping him like chop like this fish with like a samurai sword. I liked that. Asurpa even like guilts Ogata into finally saying the word Chitatap just once, which was like amazing.
He's like
Chitatap. And she's like, did you hear it? He said it. And so they eat this whole feast of like salmon roe over rice and salmon roe with crushed potatoes and like some salmon skewers.
Yeah, let's be honest. Crushed potatoes is mashed potatoes. It's like caviar and mashed potatoes. That's what this is.
It's like, no, Kat, you see, you crushed them, though.
No,
so much different from mashing.
It's fucking the same. Have you ever mashed potato? It's the same. Maybe they're a little more lumpy. Yeah, but have you ever crushed potatoes? I'm just saying, now I'm interested, and I want to see what mashed potatoes and caviar taste like, because...
I mean... Bcom really wants his crushed potatoes with peas in and mixed in it.
Oh, so good.
Not
peas. These are just like salmon
not
peas
fucking
too.
Peas.
Like,
no. Like I will say, caviar is fun when it pops in your mouth. Sometimes when you're eating it, like boba. Like you know how when you're eating like something with boba in it, like the liquid boba, and it like pops.
Sure,
it's like
never had either.
But more savory. Yeah.
Boba Fett. Yeah. People will get that joke. Uchiyama tries to hit on Inkarma during their meal, but Shikapasi interrupts by giving half of Tanagaki's rice bowl to her, which Asurpa says is basically part of an Ainu betrothal. Basically, like the woman comes, like she cooks like a meal, the guy eats half of it, and then he gives the other half to the woman, and if she finishes it, then they are betrothed to be married, which is like, wow, that was real easy. Like, that takes like the way to a man's heart is like through his stomach to a whole new level.
Also, probably if that was like a choice between that and getting a girl a ring, like we all know which would immediately become the one that, I mean...
Yeah,
true.
Seriously, like that
rings
would be
be expensive,
much easier.
Y'all. It's like,
Things are
you
simpler
mean
back
I could
then.
have gotten out of this all along with a bowl of rice? Yes.
Hell yeah. So Tanigaki, though, he like shuts it down and he takes back the bowl and then walks outside the like tent, and like Inkermont follows him, and Tanigaki basically confronts her, saying like, I know that part of your hopes are that like Noparabo really is Wilk. And I think he thinks that like she's in love with Wilk, and so Inkermont tells him like, no,
she is.
She is, but it's like a different
is.
kind of love. I think.
No, she used to be like full on balls deep in love with Wilk. Let's be real. She's
fine. Like,
it's just been a while. It's like if you were to talk to someone who was like my ex or something, even though they never really dated, but like it's similar.
Yeah. Inkermont tells Tanigaki that he changed her fate when he saved her from dying in that lake when she was supposed to, and so she feels this changes her fortune, that like her own death would prevent her from meeting Wilk again. So now she thinks there is a chance she'll see him, but importantly, she says that she's not in love with Wilk anymore. She just wants to get over her past and move forward to a future with Tanigaki. And so he responds that he's still focused on bringing Asurpa back to Huchi, but once that's done, he'll give her that like half-eaten bowl of food once more, and like, yeah, they'll get married.
You know, now that he's made this promise, like in every
she's dead
movie,
as fuck.
Yeah, that's what I immediately thought. I was like, oh shit, he's made the promise. Now he has to die. That is the like.
Oh, him?
law.
Oh, I thought she's gonna die.
No,
But
it's
you're
gonna be
probably
him.
right.
The one who makes the promise is the one who dies.
Actually, like, he'll die saving her, most likely.
Yeah,
honestly,
so that she can go no, all dramatically. That's exactly
and then she can like
what's gonna
drop
happen.
that little like animal skull on his head and be like, "Oh yeah, he's dead. My fortune says he's dead."
The fortune that 50 times out of 100, like, yeah, no, it's so dumb. You can talk about that next.
They finish building that tunnel the exact distance Hijikata told them to, and they end up right in the middle of Chief Katakura's quarters, who turns out the chief is on their side because his father fought with Hijikata. And so the chief tells them the cell Noparabu will be moved to next, and then makes plans to get a Serpa to him. And Ogata is also caught eavesdropping on this planning conversation, but like asks them like, well, do any of you really trust each other either? Like when they confront him about it, and then he like kind of like sneakily like climbs back down into the tunnel. So everything's set.
Him creeping was kind of funny.
yeah, I liked that. Everything's set up, and the squad rolls out on this dark, moonless night for their sneaking mission. And Anji Toni is helping them, since you remember at the very end of last episode, like he's friends with Hijikata, so he's like on their side now, the weird deaf guy. Sorry, wait, deaf? No, blind guy. I keep getting that mixed up. I'm really bad about that. Sorry.
Blind and deaf? Really?
He's Helen Keller now.
He, Shiraishi, Sugimoto, and Asurpa are the infiltration team. Ogata is like out in the forest. He's going to be a sniper standing by, and everybody else is just like standing by. The prison block is laid out in a fan that radiates out from a central watchtower, and their only way in is this like window on top of the building, since all the other windows are barred. And they basically saw their way into the top, which is kind of noisy, but Chief Katakura covers for them by breaking his teacup and distracting the other guards. They lower themselves down by rope, and Shiraishi picks the lock on cell number 66, where Noparabu is supposed to be. Strangely, Hijikata has gone missing from the lodge where the others are. And Asurpa greets the prisoner and asks, like, are you my father? Or, like, are you my Acha? And he stays silent, and then Shiraishi lights a match, and then he starts just screaming bloody murder, this prisoner.
He's fucking weird. He has no face.
Got no face.
Why are you screaming? Like, why aren't they screaming? I don't understand. Because I just kept thinking, like, well, surely the prisoner wants to escape. Like, why are you screaming?
Yeah. It is weird. Like, I don't know. Like, he's just clearly been tortured or something. I don't know. This guy does not have it all together. But it's also really clear, like, when the camera fast cuts between Asirpa and this prisoner's eyes, like, a bunch of times. Oh, this guy is definitely not Wilk, because he does not have those, like, clear blue eyes that Asirpa has. And so they figure that out. But then the alarms have gone off because, obviously, this guy's screaming. But luckily they had Karakura on the inside, so he jammed the rifles of the other guards. So they can't shoot. Asirpa gets out by, like, going back up through the roof, but Sugimoto is stuck inside. Anji Toni, who had lifted her up on the roof, though, seems to be on this side of this faction that seems to have set this stuff up, because he's like, oh, I'll take you to the real Nopperabo now, Asirpa. He's clearly under instructions from Hijikata, who it's becoming clear has kind of double-crossed everyone. Shiraishi and Sugimoto figure out this fake Nopperabo must be a double and isn't working with Kiraranke because he doesn't recognize Kiraranke's name. Again, it was like Hijikata who set this up, I'm sure. Inkermat tells Tanigaki to run. She's in on it too, it seems like, but is like looking out for Tanigaki specifically, like saying, like, you go to this town. I told them, like, you would send like a fake telegram, like from a fake name. And then, however, I think something Hijikata did not plan for is that the 7th then arrived by boat.
Shit.
With, like, a fleet of, like, small naval destroyers, led by Koito's father, who's a rear admiral. And so Tsurumi orders them capture Nopperabo and capture Asirpa.
This is going to turn into a full-on fucking battle now.
It's going to be pretty ridiculous, yes.
It should be. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. It should be interesting.
Yeah, at the end of this episode, I was like, oh my god, the next 2 episodes, I think, are just going to be batshit crazy now.
Yeah,
did we
absolutely.
Did we talk about how they said that the faceless guy was a double?
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely not Nopperabo. He's a double, probably planted there by Hijikata, who seems to have, like, double-crossed everybody.
So imagine if someone was like, hey, I know you've been locked up for the rest of your life, that sucks for you, but we're going to cut your face off now. So that you can be a double.
I would imagine that his face was probably already like this when they chose him to be a double.
The odds that they found another guy whose face had been cut off. You know they cut his face off.
I think the warden has been using him as a body double for like a long time, but Hijikata figured that out. Yeah. I think that's what happened.
I think that's what happened too. Like, I also wonder if Nopperabo's real face is actually like this. Or if they've just been saying, like, oh no, this guy's Nopperabo because they found a guy with, like, no face, and they were like, oh, we can pretend this is Nopperabo as, like, a distraction. That's
not as fun, though, because I was just imagining someone being like, guess what? It's your lucky day!
Well, I'm sure we're going to find out next time, so... It's exciting. It's really coming to a conclusion now. It's pretty cool.
It is exciting.
Speaking about coming to a conclusion, the next show never will.
Speaking about what's not exciting.
Run with the Winds.
Woo! This was a good episode. I don't care what y'all say. This was a good episode.
I agree. This was pretty good.
They tried to destroy Hana. She's the only good thing
you just
about
have, like, ridiculous ideas of what waifus are. She can't cook anymore, so she's not a waifu. I was like, shut up, Leo.
You know what? Like, I don't think all women should have to be the best cooks ever to be good waifus. They can be good at other fucking things.
And I wasn't referring to myself. I believe there's a ton of people out there that, like, feel like her waifu material got hurt for cooking. If you look at my notes, I say it's okay. I can cook. I can let that one good thing about this show be ruined.
Those people out there who think that need to suck it the fuck up, take a look at their life, reevaluate their situation, and decide if they want to live the rest of their life alone, or whether they're going to accept something.
Also, clearly the problem is nobody in her life has the balls to tell her that she can't cook.
That is true. Like, her parents, like, sit there and eat it and cry. Like, that's
She said her dad cries every time he eats it.
Like, they should tell her. I do agree with that. Like, you gotta be harsh but true. Like, be like, listen, girl, we love you, but your cooking sucks balls. Like, please never cook for anyone again. That's what they should have said.
So yeah, this episode opens up with a doctor at the dorm. Because if you remember, Haiji passed out at the end of last episode. And he's got Haiji's shirt pulled up. And he's listening to his chest with a stethoscope. So brace yourselves. We're going to get the big diagnosis.
More soap opera drama, basically.
And he's just overworked. Well, no shit, he's overworked. He overworked himself along with everybody else. But apparently he had an anemia attack.
You know how a lot of soap operas have like their own drama music that they use specifically for that show?
Oh, yeah.
Like, da-da-da-da-da. Does anyone else think that this show needs its own drama music?
I mean, it might, the rate it's going. It probably should have it. I did pull up the As the World Turns opening over the weekend just to look at that.
We should start playing that every time that something dramatic happens. Like, we should pause and in the background just have that play for a second.
As the World Turns. Yeah.
Oh, I love how you guys are smashing into this show and you chose it.
I mean, I'll always point out a show's flaws. I still like the show. I just know it has flaws, and I'll admit to them.
Kakeru and Prince are quick to blame themselves for stressing out Haiji, but like Akihiro wisely tells them, you know, it's everyone's fault. It's not just your fault. We all weren't looking out for him. And they also, like, everybody starts to realize, like, how much shit Haiji was really doing for them. Like, he was cleaning, he was cooking, he was planning the races, doing all the paperwork. And they're all like, wow, we really need to pick up some of this slack.
And then a day later, they give up and Haiji's back to doing it all again.
Yes, that is also true.
Fuck show.
There's also this small dramatic scene with Prince and Kakeru where Akihiro tries to get them to sort of like reconcile their differences, and the way he does it is by kind of like treating it like Haiji is dead and they have to he's entrusted the club to them, and like I think this causes them to both band together. Like they're both like, that's ridiculous, and they're talking at the same time. The next day, the other members of the team ask Akihiro to become the temporary captain since Haiji's like out of commission because he's the oldest, but he turns them down, and then Yuki turns them down, and then one of the twins looks at Prince and he goes, Daga Kotowaru, which is the I refuse thing from Kishibe Rohan from JoJo's Diamond is Unbreakable. He's like, don't you know about Daga Kotowaru? But they don't. But long story short, I thought Leo would recognize that, by the way, but apparently Leo's a fake JoJo fan who didn't realize it.
Oh,
it's hard to pay attention to this show, dude.
Oh, it's hard to pay attention to even Bcom talking about this show. Is that what you're saying?
That too.
Long story short, everyone refuses except for Kakeru, who says he wouldn't mind, but he won't be gentle either.
Well, but like, don't they not even ask him though? Like, it's almost like they just
do.
don't.
I think.
I
they
just
kind of look
it.
at him because he's like the last person. I think.
I kind of like remember it as like they're all sort of standing around, like, oh, everyone said no, and then like he speaks up and is like, maybe I could do it. Like, they all had such little faith in Kakeru that they were like, we know better than to even ask.
Yeah, basically.
And then Kakeru is like, but maybe I'll help. Like, from the background.
He immediately steps into Haiji's role of, like, running alongside Prince instead of, like, taking it at his own pace.
This is so fucking cheesy.
And he hounds him, like, real hard. Like, even when they get back into, like, the dorm, he hounds him, like, stop, like, reading your comics before you, like, change out of your sweaty-ass clothes. And Prince is like, well, my comics are fresh. And he's just like, what? So, but, like, yeah. And then there's this weird part where Prince says, like, if you could run so fast, you should try talking at my speed sometime. And I don't think that really worked because Prince doesn't talk fast ever in this show. Like, when has Prince ever said something quickly?
Never.
I thought that should have been like, try reading at my speed.
Yeah.
Like, that would have made a ton of sense to me, especially because later in the episode, they start reading together and they're going like, in sync. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. That was really weird. Meanwhile, Jota and Joji are like struggling with basic cooking. And Hana shows up because she heard that Haiji collapsed and she brings some of the vegetables from her store. And she helps out. Except not really because her cooking is awful, like we said. And it literally turns Musa into a zombie, and the other guys are like running for the bathroom.
She's supposed to be an infallible angel.
No one is an infallible angel, Leo. I hate
Except
to tell
for
you.
Francine from Karakuri
No,
Circus. She's an
that
infallible
bitch.
angel.
She
Look,
also
there was
is
nothing wrong.
an infallible angel, as we will discuss.
Okay. So, yeah, Kakeru and Prince, though, actually think her food is totally fine because they just don't care. And Hana, like we said her food is usually good. Her father cries every time he eats it. And of course, those are tears of sadness, not joy. And yeah, the guys had locked Haiji in his room so he could recuperate, but failed to realize his room had a frickin' first-story window. So Kakeru finds Haiji at the doctor's office, like thanking the doctor who had made a home visit to take care of him. And they get to talking, and Kakeru basically says, like, I finally looked at Prince's running form for the first time, and I saw that it needs correction. And like Haiji's like, really? For the first time? You like actually just noticed? And so it says, like, maybe you should turn around and look at the people running behind you to see how they're running and like where they're running, kind of thing. And so that night, Haiji is back in form and cooks the team like an immaculate meal. And Kakeru also like reaches out to Prince by going to his room to like read some manga. And Kakeru's like watching him on the treadmill and then comes to this epiphany. He's like, wait, if I just hold manga, which I totally think we thought of this like weeks ago. If we just hold the manga in front of his face, he'll like run better, right? Like he'll run with perfect form. So he starts doing this, like running in front of Prince backwards, with Prince coming behind him.
Which is so fucking dangerous. And then he's like, turn the pages.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so dumb.
We get this whole montage, right, of him fixing his form.
Of cheesiness yet.
Well, yeah, then like the rest of the team like looks at him like running one day out in that field, and they're like, why is he not like move his arms? And then Kakeru's like, oh, I get it. His arms are always in the reading position. It's like he's turning pages and reading a manga. That's why he's holding them up the whole time. And so he goes and gives him like a couple of manga volumes to hold in each arm so he can like swing them back and forth like a normal human being. And that's how like they fix the rest of his form. And it's like, oh my god, ridiculous. But yeah, we get a montage of them like getting in sync with each other. We see like Kakeru reading manga like at the same speed as Prince and all this stuff. And that transitions into their next track meet. And so Kakeru and Prince are running, and Kakeru's on like a really fast pace. He's on pace to break 14:30. However, he slows down on the last lap when he sees Prince. And he slows down to like get him pumped up and say like face forward, like you can do this.
God, this had me gagging so hard.
Why?
It's so stupid and cheesy and so out of character for Kakeru.
No, it's in character for this Kakeru.
Yeah, for this Kakeru.
He cares about Prince. Like that, he's realized that the team comes before running. Like that's the whole point of this. He realizes something is more important than just getting the fastest time. Because like if he gets the fastest time, it doesn't matter. What matters is that like everybody on their team is fast enough to go on the Hakone Ekiden. So
I think really what it's about is that he's gotten into the idea that he can fix this, and like anyone who's a little OCD, like now he's invested and he wants to fully fix what is wrong with Prince's running form. I don't necessarily think he's at the point yet where he's like, I'm going to make Prince actually be able to run in the Hakone. I don't think he's quite there yet, but he is like supporting more now. Yeah.
And
just another episode as the wind blows.
And yeah, we got like some improvement from Prince because he actually did get a time under 30 minutes for the first time. They like toss him up in the air. It's kind of fun.
The shot where like they toss him and his face is like, oh God, I'm a dead fish and I'm terrified, as like he's falling, is hilarious. That is a good shot.
Oh yeah, I liked it. So that's good to see. I still have doubts that Prince can improve enough to actually run with them, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I gotta get this off my chest.
What?
There's been this season a very high. I feel like a high amount of people passing out. And this is this is in like all kinds of anime. So like I personally have only known one person my entire life that resulted in like fainting from anemia or sudden blood loss. So that's once in 32 years. But anime wants me to believe that on like a daily basis, I would witness one person fainting.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna say I have passed out before. It does happen.
Well,
like people do pass out.
Yeah,
I've actually never passed out. Leo, have you ever passed out?
No.
Yeah,
it feels very weird. It feels like waking
and
up
then there's
from
like
a dream.
so many anime where like the girls get weak and then they go to the nurse's office or they wake up in the nurse's office. I'm like, how often does this happen? And it made me think of, no wonder I want meat as a running gag in all of anime. It's because their iron levels are low as shit.
I do think it's bullshit that every time someone is sick in an anime, it's always fucking anemia. Why is it always anemia? You have to admit that is bullshit. Not very many people get anemia.
Could you imagine what blood drives are like? Blood drive donations? I mean, I bet it's just like a fucking sight to behold. It would just be rows of people passed out on gurneys.
Oh man,
it would look like that basement scene from Karakuri Circus, with the children laid out.
Okay, I just thought of this. Do you think that more people in Japan have anemia because there's not as much meat being eaten in their diet?
Since it's so prevalent in anime, I bet there's some kind of a little bit of truth to that.
Well, because one of my best friends,
it might be over exaggerated, but
one of my best friends is vegan, right? And but she's not like morally vegan. She's like health conscious vegan. And a couple weeks ago, she had to actually stop being vegan for a while because her doctor told her she was getting anemic. So maybe
you have to properly supplement with like iron and other supplements. You can't. You have to be smart when you're vegan. You can't just like not eat everything that you're not supposed to eat. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm not passing out anytime soon because when I do donate blood, they take double red blood platelets, so I'm good. I eat a lot of meat. And then it just got me thinking, like, the Japanese would be the first to go into like a zombie apocalypse. They would all sprint a block and then pass out. You don't even need the fast zombie. The slow ones would do perfectly fine.
It would start raining and they would all just one by one pass out. Like in the Bunny show, like it would start raining from the sky and then you just see people in the street like passing out one by one.
Yeah, sometimes I just imagine like a rain, like a typhoon in Japan, like, and just people running and screaming to like avoid the rain. Like the hospitals are full.
We'll die if it touches us. Oh my god.
Speaking of that bunny show, though.
Speaking of people who pass out after a little exertion, how about that next show, Kat?
All right. So we got Bunny Kun. I refuse to say the whole name of this fucking anime. It's dumb. Episode 10, Complex Congrats. So the first shot is of Nodoka seeing Mai on TV when they're both really young. And like the younger Nodoka is thinking like, if I work hard, maybe I'll get to meet my big sister one day. And then meanwhile, Sakuta is like looking into this tin in the cabinet and exclaims like out loud, like they don't show us what's inside, but he basically says like, I wish they would just make up already, which makes you like, they're going to show you later what's in this. Like they're holding it back. I think that
definitely, even at that point, it confirmed for me that you guys were like right last week when you were like, or I think Kat specifically said like, oh, she wants him to look in that cupboard. Like she knows that like what's in that cupboard obviously is the solution. Yeah.
So meanwhile, like Nodoka and Sakuta watch a horror movie together to help her get better at mimicking Mai. So I guess it's like a horror movie that Mai was in, right? That's what I thought, but I was like, oh, this is weird. And then Nodoka asks Sakuta to stay afterwards while she takes a bath, and I'm kind of like, like what's happening here? And Sakuta kind of sidesteps this and is like, I'm gonna go home. And I'm like, that's
what a man of honor that he actually did go home.
Yeah, I was like, there you go.
A more appropriate title would be Rascal sits while girls bathe.
Pretty much.
Because this keeps happening.
Yeah.
I was like, finally, he did something appropriate for once in his goddamn life. But anyway, when he gets home, Sakuta's sister Kaede has tried on her middle school uniform and is like, what do you think, Oni-chan? Am I hot?
Wait, can we talk about how she was like laying on the floor with just her head like outside of the door jamb, like waiting for him to come home? Like it was the most ridiculous thing ever. Can you imagine coming home and just having like your little sister's head like peeking out of a door like, Oni-chan, hi. So ridiculous. Loved it.
I mean, after the shit she's gone through and her waking you up every morning, I don't think I would be too surprised at
Well,
that
I guess
point.
that's true.
I
It's
think
like
I would
par
be more
for the course.
surprised that I wake up with like her half naked clinging to me. I don't think this in particular would be what surprises
that's what I mean.
me.
After all that shit, you come home to this, you would just be like, what are you doing now?
Yeah, I'd be like, well,
that would
I
be
know
your
you're
reaction.
fucking insane, so whatever you want to do. I love you anyway, crazy person. That's pretty much what Sakura's thinking.
Yeah.
But she's like, what do you think, Oni-chan? Do you think I look good in the uniform? And Sakura's like, don't push yourself too hard. And then I guess like she's asking if he thinks she's ready to go back to school, and he's like, maybe not yet, because you're still doing things like waking me up half naked in my bed in the morning. Then Mai comes in and gives Kaede a souvenir, and then she gives tickets to Nodika's live event to Sakura and tells him to come with Nodika. So basically, Nodika is going to watch Mai pretend to be her with Sakura.
Yeah.
And then she also invited Nodika's mom, which I feel like might go badly, but then it doesn't. Well, you'll see. And then later in the episode, Nodika recalls when she met Mai for the first time and how awesome Mai was. And then Nodika says, like, even though I can't be like my sister, I still want to keep doing my work because I enjoy it, which is a good step. You see her, like, coming closer to what needs to happen. And at one point, Sakura talks to Nodika about, like, the whole situation with Kaede and his parents and, like, why they live apart again. Like, how his mom can't handle Kaede, and so they live, like, separately.
That's pretty fucked up.
And, and, like, he says he doesn't hate them and, like, doesn't have emotions towards them for what, like, the situation
he doesn't have a grudge because they're his parents, but like when she asks him how he feels towards his parents, like she says, like, do you hate them? Do you love them? Do they annoy you? Like something like that. He's like, yes, because like all of those things he feels, but he also doesn't hold a grudge, I guess. But
I don't
just
know,
kind
like,
of nice.
I don't think that's. I feel like you would hold a grudge.
I would definitely, yeah.
So, I mean, that
But
might be a
Sakura
little
is
bit
more
of bullshit.
perfect than I am. He's the most perfect boyfriend that ever existed, so he doesn't hold a grudge.
No, he's fucking not, Bcom. He's a fucking bitch. You did that just to piss me off. Mai deserves better.
Really, Kat?
Mai deserves better than fucking Sakura. She deserves a real man who won't fuck around. Anyway, suddenly Nodika's mom runs up to them and is like, where is Nodika? Because she thinks she's staying with Mai. And then she leaves after Mai's like, I don't know where the fuck she is. But, like, really, it's Nodika. She just doesn't know that. And then Sakura meets up with his dad later. And this is the first time you see, like, either of Sakura's parents, which was interesting. And he tells his dad how Kaede is doing. And you can tell it's, like, a little bit awkward. Which it should fucking be. You're letting your son raise your other child while you hide cowardly in another house like fucking bitches. And suddenly Sakura asks his dad how it feels to be a parent, which also I'm like, don't you already know because you're basically Kaede's parent?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and he's not being really much of a parent, so this is not the guy to ask.
Yeah, so his dad freaks out at first because he thinks Sakura is, like, gonna have a baby, and I'm like, that would have been hilarious. But then he tells him about how you, like, won't know until you become one, and everything feels uncertain and hectic. And then he tells a story about, like, he changed so many diapers when Sakura was a baby that, like, he passed out once while changing a diaper. And I feel like this is probably something that, like, a lot of people do at some point when they have, like, especially their first kid.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, especially when you're waking up all hours of the night and you're exhausted, I'm sure that's happened to people.
Yeah, so, but it was funny. But yeah, so then later at the live event, Mai as well as Nodika, There's like a lot of underwear jokes in this live event where they're like, hee hee, sometimes you talk about how even your underwear is soaked, and I'm like, okay.
That was so awkward. Like,
dude, I felt uncomfortable.
That was the weirdest. I felt like that was like a parody of like Idol stuff though. Like, because like, you know, idols do that. Like, they have that like stupid like section where they talk between songs, and they have like some stupid skit they do. And I actually thought this was like a really hilarious parody of that stuff where it's like, oh, we sweat so much you like sweat right through your panties. Wait, idols don't wear panties. Like, I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly the level of like idol conversation on stage.
Oh god,
it's ridiculous.
Oh man. But yeah, so like, and then I was kind of annoyed because they went through like 3 different songs from Nodika's band, and I was kind of like, why are we like watching all of these? Like, I don't give a shit about these songs.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't sign on for an Idol anime.
I know,
but it was great.
It wasn't
so
though,
good.
Bcom. I know you're fucking
it was
obsessed
so much
with Idol
better than
anime.
Zombie Land Saga in every fucking way.
But it
Well, not
wasn't
every
great,
way.
Bcom.
The only good idols are dead idols in my book.
Yes.
Okay.
All I'll say is like
it wasn't relevant to the main story.
Okay, all I'm saying is I'm exaggerating, but it was animated surprisingly well for a show that is not about idols. Like, the dancing was like pretty decent. There were some like jump cuts and stuff, but like yeah, obviously I'm not as invested in these idols as I am in the zombie girls. But
I mean, but like, they're never gonna play that again. It's never gonna be relevant. That's all I don't know.
It's relevant to this episode.
It's not relevant. Did watching that song make you? Did it give you some like epiphany about the fucking?
The point is how Nodika feels about seeing Mai perform as her.
But they could have done that with like 1 song. We didn't need 3 songs.
They threw 3 songs in because they were like, "Look at how fucking amazingly we can animate idol shit."
I don't give
idol
a
shows
shit.
can't even do it half the time.
I don't care. I just want the main story to be covered and to get on with the fucking plot. They still haven't talked about like what's going on with Kaede. They still haven't like started to wrap this anime up. Like, they have shit to do, and they're wasting time with fucking idol songs that we don't give a shit about.
They've got like 3 episodes to do the whole final arc.
That's gonna come before you know it, and you know how fast those endings come, and you also know how some anime, like, they drag their feet wrapping up the anime, and then the ending sucks. And I don't want this to happen with this anime.
Yeah, it could.
Sakatu's gonna he's gonna wake up at the end, and it's all gonna be one giant
it was all a dream.
But his sister's gonna wake up next to him.
Oh god,
no. No, I was gonna say it was his own, what are they fucking calling it, syndrome.
Oh, his own.
Oh, that's such a good. You're so right.
That's not a good ending.
You're so right. That's exactly what it's gonna be.
I would smash something in my fucking house if that was the ending.
And then he's gonna go talk to Futaba, and she's gonna be like, "Oh, it was a parallel universe caused by string theory." And
I
predicted it. I'm just saying it.
Oh my god.
Oh, you're so right.
But yeah, at one point, one of Nodika's bandmates falls, and Mai like catches the mic, and this makes Nodika once again be like, "Oh, she's amazing. I'll never be as good as her.
She's so much better than me." Yeah.
And later, it's announced that like Nodika is gonna be the featured member of their new single, and Nodika's like, "Oh, it's only because of Mai. I'm depressed." And then Nodika sees her mom like praise Mai frantically after the show, thinking it's her, and Nodika later is like, to Sakura, says like, "I've never seen my mom be that happy in her entire life." And she's like depressed and hurt, thinking once again her sister's just better than her in every way. And I'm just like, listen, girl, just suck it up. Like, I know it sucks, but like, come on, you can. I know, but come on. And Nodika goes to the ocean on the way home and just walks into the ocean, which, has anyone ever succeeded in committing suicide this way?
Yes.
Because you see this in anime a lot, where people are like, and then she walked into the sea. And I'm like, but does that actually work?
I think it can work, yeah.
Oh, what was it? Oh, damn it. I don't remember if this is an anime or not. But there was two old couple and they put a bunch of rocks in their pockets and walked out into the ocean?
Oh, yeah.
Well, but
What
at
am I
some
thinking
point,
of,
like,
Bcom?
preservation is going to take over and you're going to start struggling. I feel like there are easier ways to commit suicide.
It's a good question, Leo. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know where it's from.
I can't remember what it's from either.
I also think like drowning yourself is like one of the
no.
most
It's
horrible
from that
ways.
doll movie.
Doll movie? Like
yeah.
Chucky? Bride of Chucky?
It wasn't Chucky. It was the one... There was just a doll in the house, and the couple treated it as their son. No, and the couple treated it as their son, who had previously died in a fire.
Pinocchio?
Oh, weird.
I don't know.
Pinocchio.
No. Oh, man. Go on. I'm going to try to figure this out.
Oh, my
Weird.
God.
Okay.
But all I'm saying is, if you really want to commit suicide, like, shoot yourself in the head or something. Don't walk into the ocean. That seems like a terrible way to commit suicide.
Well, they don't have guns in Japan, so that's going to be hard.
It was The Boy, 2016.
Oh, what a memorable title.
The Boy.
Yeah. Like, his parents, like, they went and committed suicide, and that's how they did it.
Damn.
Or, I don't know, jump off a bridge. There are lots of bridges in Japan.
This is true.
That's easier. You probably pass out before you get to the ground.
Let's not give anyone great ideas.
God.
Anyway, he gives
On
her...
this episode of Nerdom Nonsense, we discussed the most easiest ways to commit suicide.
Oh, no. Please, don't do that.
All I'm saying is this was a bad idea if she was serious. She was being dramatic, and she even knew it. Stop being a drama queen. Anyway, they go back to her house, like, and Sakura's all like, "Oh, I have to be protective of you because you did something dramatic." And, like, he gives her the 10 back at her house, and it's full of letters that Nodoka wrote growing up to Mai. And Nodoka keeps saying that, like, Mai isn't really her sister because they found out, like, they don't have the same mom, and she grew uneasy and thought she was being a nuisance to Mai and stopped writing her. And then Mai, like, dramatically walks in and is like, "I was surprised and bewildered when I first met you, but your encouragement in these letters made me grow to love my job when I hadn't loved it before." And Nodoka's like, I still feel a lot of jealousy towards you, and now I'm gonna whine some more. And Mai gets pissed, but, like, slaps Sakura instead of Nodoka, which was,
yes.
I liked this a lot. I was like, he deserves it so many times. Like, good. He deserves to get slapped.
I wasn't completely accurate about what was in there. I'd originally said, "Oh, she's actually a fan of hers," but I was kind of close, but
you were
not
pretty close.
Not completely correct. I was on the right train of thought, but didn't quite nail it.
But yeah,
it was good to see Sakura get slapped hard.
It was.
For sure.
He deserves it. So he deserves to get slapped like 50 times. Let's be real. But basically, she says she does it because, like, Nodoka has a fashion shoot tomorrow, so, like, she can't slap Nodoka, but Nodoka deserves to get slapped. Which, let's be real, she also does deserve to get slapped. Like, it should have been like a twofer, like slapping both of them. But anyway, Mai talks about how Nodoka's mom was really uneasy when she congratulated, like, who she thought was Nodoka. And she hadn't been sure that Nodoka had even been enjoying her job up to that point. And Nodoka's still in drama mode and is like, "I just want my mom to be happy. And she's sad all the time. And she keeps looking at Mai and being upset." And Mai's like, "Oh, you're going to have to make her happy by making yourself happy and working hard," and all this cheesy bullshit. And then Nodoka's like, "Do I have to be like you?" And Mai's like, "You can be if you want." And Nodoka's like, "But I don't want to be like you." And then they switch back at that point with, like, this weird popping noise that sounds like popcorn,
it was like a snap
popping.
or something. Yeah, that was kind of funny.
It made me think of, like, the most delicious popcorn. Like, it made me kind of hungry. Anyway.
Oh, really? Because it made me think of quantum teleportation.
Oh, now, okay. Then, after that, like, the whole thing where they switch back, you get this explanation, like, with Futaba, like, in the lab again. But it's, like, such a bullshit explanation. Because, first of all, it's, like, half-assed.
Every explanation has been quantum physics.
So. Yeah.
Well, but, like, this one was the most half-ass of half-ass.
Yes.
It's, like, quarter-ass. It's quarter-ass at this point. And, like, they basically say quantum teleportation again. They already fucking used that explanation. They can't reuse the same fucking thing again. Like, lazy bunny show. Come on.
This was a roller coaster of emotions for me because, like, as soon as Futaba popped on screen, I was like, "Oh yes, stupid physics explanation coming right up." But then I was like so disappointed when they just reused quantum teleportation again. I was like, "Really?"
I know, it's like, if you were gonna the same explanation, do this, then don't even explain it. Just shut your mouth and like act like you forgot, because that was some bullshit. And then at the very end, you find out that Nodoka is moving in with Mai, and then Sakura got caught in the tabloids with Mai, and so that's going to be a problem. So, like, basically, Sakura is going to get double cock-blocked next episode, because he can't be seen with Mai because of the tabloids, and he can't go to Mai's house to, like, play, like, touchy-feely, because Nodoka is going to be there. So, like, he's fucked. Ha!
Look, I think Nodoka would be in on a little sister threesome. She said at the end of the episode, "I kind of understand what she sees in you, Sakura." So she's down.
Is this down. What we're going back to?
Yeah, it's gonna be a threesome somehow.
I don't want to see any double blowjob like fan art.
No, it's gonna be a foursome because like Futaba. It's gonna be all the girls. It's gonna be a giant orgy at this point.
Fan art of a double blowjob with Mai and Nodoka, I'm gonna be so disgusted. That's all I'm saying.
I need to look this up and send the picture to you.
It definitely like almost certainly exists.
You'll get a message. It'll be me going, "So, Kat, how's your Sunday?" And you're like, "Fine. Why?" Bam, picture.
I'm like, no. Yeah.
Well, okay. Let's take a quick break while we search for that.
I have an honest to God question about the show. Okay.
What?
I'm very meh with this show, but it's really, really popular, and you guys seem to be enjoying it. What in this show is like really compelling you to guys? Because like I definitely wouldn't be watching it if not for the podcast.
So first of all, on one level, I'm really entertained by how stupid it is at times. Like really, really entertained. I've watched a lot of like romantic comedies, and I also really like shows like My Teenage Love Com, like Snafu, which have like a sarcastic asshole main character. Like a lot of people are really like turned off by those types of main characters who think they're like smarter than everybody else and are really sarcastic. And then they like sacrifice themselves with the girls, and they see through it because it's like a power fantasy. I get all that. I still really enjoy it because I just enjoyed like the snappy dialogue between him and between all of the girls. And I also really like most of the girls. Like I've liked Mai a lot. I liked Futaba. I think I liked Nodoka. She was cool. Like her idol group was fun. Like Tomoe, I could take her leave. She was not that interesting. But that's what I find interesting. It's just like the dialogue, especially between Sakura and the girls, I find entertaining.
Okay, Kat, you locked it. Why did you like it so much?
It's not that I liked it so much. It's that I could tell it was going to be very well produced, and it was the kind of show that was going to have a lot of popularity and like staying power. And I'm glad I was right.
Yeah.
I personally I'm not a huge fan of these harem style anime. I do like Mai's character a lot, and I enjoy her. Personally, my best end to this anime would be her dumping the fuck out of Sakura and like stepping all over his face and then watching him cry as she walks away. That
Never
would be
happening in a million
the
years.
best ending to this anime. I would be so happy. Then Mai could like find like, I don't know, maybe she could like date one of the other girls. Like maybe she and Futaba like hook up or whatever. That would be awesome.
Right.
She deserves someone equally as awesome as her.
Maybe Sakura will body swap with Futaba, and then you'll get what you want.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But
well, that would still be Sakura.
I know. Yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean,
okay, I was honestly interested because I don't really care for it that much. I don't think it's bad.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's amazing either. But okay, that's interesting.
The dialogue is well done. I do agree with Bcom on that. But yeah.
All right, let's do that break you wanted to do, Bcom.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hey. Hey. Do you like wrestling?
Whether it be in a bar, an arena, some weird place in Asia, or in a stadium?
Or the occasional penis plex?
Well, if any of these things might tickle your fancy, anywhere in between, from penises to wrestling, you can come and check out our podcast.
Our podcast name is Smack It Down. We talk all things WWE, New Japan, anything else in between.
I'm Jay Silver.
I'm Corey Gold.
And we look forward to you joining us.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day indeed.
Here's a slimy pizza we found in the garbage.
Yeah, they're going to go to the park late at night. Nothing wrong could happen there.
Nothing bad ever happens at the park
Japan.
late at night.
It's Japan. It's safe there.
Yeah, sure. Safe.
The tentacle monsters only come out in your bedroom at night.
You haven't watched a whole lot of hentai, have you?
No, I
They
haven't.
catch you at school, too.
You can find the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast on FaceTube, Ubook, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. And on Twitter, at Trash Panda Anime. Oh, we also have a website, tpwapodcast.com.
Hi, I'm JD, your host of the Red Leaf Retrocast, your best location to learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. Our podcast has 4 shows for you to listen to between retro gaming, modern gaming, anime, and even wrestling. The Retro Gaming Cast covers discussion topics, and each episode we discuss retro games picked based on a decided theme for that episode, ranging from space all the way to console specials like the old handheld Game Boy. Our Modern Gaming Cast is monthly and covers video game titles that were released in that previous month. Each Anime Cast, we focus to review a retro anime each and every episode, like the original Mobile Suit Gundam to the racing hit Initial D. But that's not all. We also keep up with the seasonal shows by occasionally doing impressions and reviews as well. Finally, our last show is about wrestling, where we keep the rising indie scene up to date, while also covering shows from the bigger promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE, so we cover it all. We also cover a retired wrestler every episode in what we call the Wrestler Spotlight, and are currently on a quest covering old WCW Thunder episodes from the late 90s, every cast. So if any one of those casts sound like something you'd like to check out, that's the Red Leaf Retrocast, Gaming, Anime, and Wrestling, found at iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and all your favorite podcasting sites. Also, you can learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. We can't wait to see you soon.
All right. And we're fucking back, bitches. And we've got some bananas and some fish. Take it away, Leo.
Oh man, bananas and fish together does not sound good.
Sounds better than
I'm
chikuwa.
kind of
That's all I'm
wondering
going to say.
if you could make like a pate of like mushed up fish.
Maybe you could make a banana fish paste, Kat.
Yeah, and like
Oh.
bananas. And then you could feed it to people and be like, this is the heart, the soul of banana fish.
And then you make a cake out of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Then we're going real deep. No, I like this idea, though. Like, you could make a chikuwa cake, like literally how Asuka is going to do it. And then you could put banana icing on it. And it could be a banana fish fucking cake.
Yeah.
Holy
So,
shit.
Episode 22, As I Lay Dying, which is a very overdramatic title to me. I got a question for you guys. Where the fuck did eBay go?
I don't know. He didn't go back to Japan, did he?
I don't
think he
remember
did.
when he did. I just noticed he's been gone the last couple episodes or something.
I feel like
he's
so
been
many things
strangely
happen
missing.
in this anime. It's easy for characters to just disappear. And then they reappear and you're like, oh, where you been? Like,
Yeah, that's true. I can't remember. I vaguely remember him saying something about. I don't remember.
Maybe, yeah. It's. I don't know. Apparently, that scene was very forgettable because none of us remember if it did happen. So Max and like a mix of people from the various gangs get that was involved who got captured and stuff. They get loaded into a box truck and they're getting shipped out to Dr. Mannerheim. If you don't remember, it's that crazy doctor who wanted to feed banana fish to Ash. Fox then invites Ash inside to have a word with him. And Fox proposes they work together by Ash becoming the head of the foundation and he will take care of the shady business. Of course, Ash like laughs in his face and he said he'd rather kiss a slug than work with him. But not to be deterred, Fox threatens Ash with rape and then falls through. Bcom?
It's just so fucking like again and again and again. This is like the only trick this show has up its sleeve, and it's been playing it since episode 1. It's like episode 20 now, and I'm just like, I almost tuned out for the rest of the episode.
The amount of gay people is so much higher than straight people in this show.
Well, I don't know if it's like that
too.
they're gay as much as they're just taking an opportunity. They're like, ooh, it's available, but it's still fucked up. And also, I don't know. It just seems like there's not very much mess in any of these rape scenes. Like, really, if this was happening, there would be more mess. But whatever.
So Fox with shit on his dick has to leave to take a call from Dino. And he leaves 2 other men watching Ash. Of course, he escapes with like a cigarette that was thrown on the ground. He burns through his ropes, which I'm wanting to call bullshit because that smell would be very apparent.
Yeah.
Especially in a room like that. They would smell it long before you got close enough to break through. And then like he takes the guy's knife and like stabs him with it and then pulls it out and throws it at the other guy. And of course, perfect accuracy hits him right in the fucking forehead. And like the guy falls back and his gun's going off. But like Asian and a couple of the other guys are like outside. So when that happens, they rush the compound or the building they're at. And like Fox doesn't know how many people are attacking him at the moment. So he just decides to retreat for now. And then it's a very quick scene of Aji consoling Ash, who's like kind of shooken up by being raped. I mean, understandably, but he's also been raped hundreds of times by now, I think.
It starts to lose its like plot relevance when they do it this many times.
Yeah. And we have no idea how many times he was raped as a child, which pretty much sounds countless. They end up meeting up with the rest of the gangs who didn't get captured, and Lau is again bitching to Sing about following Ash, and then like he just gets so pissed he leaves. And he goes to Yet Lung, who wants him to kill Aji, but he doesn't want to because he feels like Aji is an innocent guy and he can't kill somebody who's innocent. So in the end, he just has Lau do like nothing.
Yeah.
And then we get a little bit of a better understanding of why Yet Lung hates Aji so much. He basically believes he is holding Ash back and wants Ash to like become a monster so he can fight against him. Okay.
It seems a little convoluted. Seems like I don't know what's
contrived.
going on here.
I'm also getting a vibe that maybe Yet Lung has more of a love interest in Ash, and he's kind of actually just really jealous against Aji.
Yeah,
that's a fair point.
I can
like
see that.
He wishes Ash was paying attention to him like he is to Aji.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I get the most. So, and then Dino is apparently having another one of these health institutions built with an even better security system than the last one. They're also interrogating Max to get back that data that he stole like forever ago. And he's just like being really stubborn. So Fox decides to use a truth serum on him. They apparently got the info out of him because someone like Fox goons go to the bank to look at in the lockbox, but it's gone because Jessica and Ash already retrieved the hard drive with the data about all of Dino's connections to the government. They say like the White House would be in an uproar if this got out. And then like the two go and they visit the reporter guide. He's reading a book that says desire of fish, which means nothing.
Oh, such a weird title.
Yeah, but then we go back to Yet Lung, and since Lau won't kill Aji, he has 2 other members of Sing's gang there with him, and he wants them to go and kill Aji, and he suggests they do it when Ash is with him, also because Ash gets soft around him and his guard would be down. And then like later on, Blanca decides Aji shouldn't die, and he goes to leave before being stopped by Yet Lung. And then they like talk it out. The Young's like, you don't know where they are. And he's like, well, I'll look in all the places I would think he would be. And then he's like, oh, he's at Pier 4 is what Young tells him. And I'm like, why did Young tell him where the fuck he was? He's been trying to get Eiji killed this whole time. When did he suddenly have a conscience?
He sees Blanca's like desire to help him, and I think he's just like, all right, fine, I'll help you out. Like, he just sees like how honorable Blanca is being. Like, I'll go look for him no matter where.
I also had a stray thought that maybe he kind of likes Blanca. Like, maybe he's starting to have feelings for Blanca, and so he's doing what Blanca wants.
I definitely saw like a parallel between Ash and Eiji and Blanca and Yutlung this episode. Like, I think they were kind of like making that clear. And so I think you're right about that. Like, I think Yutlung does care about what Blanca thinks. And
from what I can gather, Blanca's the only guy in the show that's not gay and shown an interest in other women. So
I mean, maybe he's bi. You don't know.
From what I know, he's the only person from Ash's past that didn't fucking rape him.
I mean, no one said he was the aggressor. No one said he was the top.
Yeah, other than Max, he's the only other guy in the show that showed an interest in the opposite fucking sex.
All I'm gonna say is that boy is a bottom. If you haven't watched that YouTube video, it would be a fun one to watch.
Oh God.
I had this thought, like we were talking about how they have too many rape scenes in this. I'm kind of wondering if in the manga, if the rape scenes were completely fleshed out instead of like cutaways, because that would make sense why there are so many rape scenes. Because I don't know if you've ever read a lot of yaoi. Probably not. I'm probably the only one who's read a lot of yaoi.
What do you think?
There's one called like Through My Viewfinder that this would remind me of if they had fleshed out a lot of the rape scenes, where there's just like every few chapters there's like a rape scene with this main guy.
No.
But like it's like, ooh, it's more like, instead of it being like oh no, it's rape time, it's like, ooh, it's rape time, which is problematic. But you know, there's also a lot of straight porn that's that way.
Well, if somebody has the answer, you know what a great way to let us know would be to join our Discord server.
Or write us a review and tell us in the review, and then I can read it, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah. Also true. Also a good way.
And Kat will stop threatening the listeners. So Ash wants Eiji to go with like Jessica to be sheltered by like the news something another. I don't remember what group. It was a news group. It was strange to me. And like Eiji agrees, but Ash is like kind of suspicious, but then he gets over it. And then they get back into that old argument where Eishi's like asking Ash to go back to Japan with him, which he said multiple times. And he's like, you know, there's no guns there. You can escape all this. And Ash is like, you know, I've actually really wanted to live a normal life. But then he's like, you know, you'll have to teach me Japanese, right? And it's like a cutesy scene. And they sit down and like Eiji starts teaching him. And it's this really heartfelt moment.
Oh, and then the cheesiness kicks in. Go ahead.
And then that's when like the two working for Yutlung show up, and in short, they get a shot into Eiji. Hey, to me it looks like a spleen shot, so he's probably fine.
No, okay, but explain what the fuck he was just teaching him before the most cheesy thing that could happen.
Oh, he's teaching him like really easy phrases and stuff that like I guess he already kind of learned from like eBay and stuff. And like, is there one that really grabbed your attention, Kat?
No, like right as it's about to happen, he goes, and this is how you say goodbye. And then he teaches him, and he says,
yeah. I didn't even notice that. That's great.
And then he fucking shoots him. And it's the most cheesy thing.
I saw that, and I think I had the thought, and then my brain completely blocked it out because it was so cheesy. Yeah, and like it's sayonara, which is it's still goodbye, but in Japanese, if I'm right, it's supposed to mean like a permanent goodbye, correct?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Don't typically say that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they also get like a shot into Ash, who then like guns one down, and he chases the other and shoots the shit out of him repeatedly until Singh gets him to stop. Because everybody's showing up, they're like, what the fuck are these gunshots about? And then like Ash rushes back in time to see like Eiji pass out in his arms, and And then again, I'm like, Jesus Christ, the Japanese just passing out everywhere in this season. But then I was like, AG had this. This one's completely justified on AG's part, so it's okay.
I mean, he was shot. Yeah, we'll give him a pass.
He was fought.
Also, I was annoyed because, like, Ash, like, when he runs down the hall, like, shooting, he shot, like, 26 bullets, like, from that gun without reloading. And then, like, a 27th bullet or something to knock away Lau's gun. And I was just like, that's a lot of bullets.
You said you went back and counted, right?
Yeah, I literally went back and counted because I was like, how many fucking bullets did he just shoot from this stupid pistol? And I was
that
like, okay.
mag would be sticking like a foot out of the bottom of that gun.
I did look up the name of the title. Again, it is a novel reference. As I Lay Dying is the 1930 novel by William Faulkner, which is like a notable thing for telling its story through the lens of like 15 separate narrators, which is like a unique technique at the time. Which this episode didn't really... I thought, I was like, when I read that, I was like, oh, I wonder if this episode is going to be told through a lot of different lenses, narrators. It wasn't really. It was just like a normal episode of Banana Fish. The novel is about like a mother who dies and then her family try to like make her last wish come true, which is to be buried in her hometown of Jefferson, Mississippi. And they go through like a lot of trouble to bring her coffin to its resting place. But I think mostly this title was just chosen because Eiji is dying at the end of the episode. Like I think that was the only real parallel to the novel was the title. So yeah.
Well, he did talk about going back home too. In this episode.
He did. You're right. Maybe you know what, Leo? You're right.
Wow, the way the brain works. Okay. Kat, you got anything else you want to add?
I added what I needed to add.
All right.
I'm glad I brought that up, though, because that was some terribleness.
So, the show with no rape, Zombie Land Saga.
Thank God.
My gosh.
No,
Okay,
Yuugiri
my
did probably
girl-
have a lot of sex back in her day.
My girl was stolen from this
Yeah.
week.
She was
Yuugiri
snubbed.
did not fucking get her episode.
Yep.
What bullshit is this?
I'm also upset about this. This is pretty bullshit.
I think she gets her episode next episode.
I hope so.
Really? Huh.
I really hope so, or I'm gonna cut a bitch. All the other people got their episodes, except
I saw a
Tai.
comment somewhere. Yeah.
But, like, Tai doesn't fucking need an episode. She has no soul.
The whole series is her episode.
So, okay, two things. I saw a comment somewhere about Yuugiri doing something in the show. And then I also saw the poll for the most popular female this week.
Yeah.
And it was Tai was number 1.
I saw that too.
That's
I was
stupid.
like, what happened?
But there's 2 more episodes out. So, like,
Yeah.
she may have had something. And also, like I said before, she has the voice actor of Sailor Moon. So it's weird to hire somebody that famous and only have her go the whole fucking time. So like she might be episode 12. I don't know.
Honestly,
and
Yuugiri might be my favorite character.
you know what also is funny? I found out because like I was laughing at the very end of this episode. Romero is barking, right?
Yeah.
And the barking was so ridiculous. I was like, who the hell did this voice
I
acting?
wondered that too. I actually made that a note. I was like, who does the voice acting of this dog? I'm so glad you looked this up.
So it's Yasuhiro Takuto, who, guess what, played Artemis in Sailor Moon. So a bunch of Sailor Moon people coming back for this. So
That's
it's pretty
epic.
cool.
Yeah, because they went above and beyond for that barking. I was like, how does a human even make that noise? Holy shit.
All right, tell us
God.
about the episode,
So,
Leo.
Kat, I know why she's your favorite. She's the most abusive character in the fucking show.
She's awesome. She's elegant and abusive. She's like, she's the whole package. This is how a woman should be. Ideally.
I agree. So, we know I like my badass women, so I completely agree with you. So, episode 10, no zombie, no saga. Sakura is still worried why she has no memory, and Kotaro has scored them a concert with like a venue of 500 people. Sakura gets like super excited about it and is like probably a little too gung-ho at like the practices and stuff. She's like so excited she keeps going faster than everybody else. She's not in sync with them. But Kotaro notices and sends them to train in the mountains. And Sakura really, really wants to practice, but the other girls are currently more worried about surviving while they're up there. Like, and everybody does something except for Sakura. So like Lily makes a fire Yuugiri leaves to find some mushrooms that are like most likely poisonous, but it's okay because they're zombies. And then eventually Sakura wanders off. She finds Ai hunting like this little wild boar that Sakura accidentally scares away. And then she finds Junko fishing. So basically everybody's doing something except for her at this point. She basically tells Sakura she needs to calm down and tells her she needs to look at everything from a different angle using a bunch of fishing analogies that don't really hold up in my opinion. And then like this whole episode, from scene to scene, they're doing like a countdown to when this event starts. And a couple more days pass with only Sakura bothering to practice. Saki finally decides they need some meat, and then like they all set out together to go find this little piggy that's been around. And they dig like this small trap, and then they hear something coming. So everybody suddenly takes cover, but Sakura like panics and she falls right into the trap. But it's like the big old daddy boar. Like he wouldn't even fit in this trap in its first place. Like he goes up to Sakura and they're like, Yugiri's like, oh, you should play dead. So they're like, she's already dead. But then she like makes the dead face, which was kind of funny.
I like that face.
And then like he just bites her head off. He like bites her head and pulls her out of the ground and swings her around and her body comes off. But then like Tai comes out of nowhere and like charges up and like bites the boar and it runs away. And like Sakura's head's like soaked in saliva and she's just had enough at this point because nobody's practicing. She really wants this event to go off so well. And that's when Kotaro shows up, like, you can go home now. And like Sakura just ends up yelling at him because she feels like they wasted their time in the mountains completely. They go back to the mansion, and like Sakura's still a step ahead of everybody during the routine, and she ends up blaming them because she was the only one practicing while they goofed off in the mountains. This next scene I really liked. Like Yuugiri visits Kotaro, who's like drinking sake in like a very Japanese style like diner / bar. Do those have a specific name?
I don't know, but like that's what it seemed like to me. It was like,
I've
it
seen those
did have a bar,
before.
so it's not. Well, some diners have bars though, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen this on a show on Netflix. It was really good. It was a Japanese show too. And at first she's like there and she's like doing her little like slow dancing stuff, and it's really cool. And she's talking to him about, you probably sent Sakura up in the mountains to help her cool down and all that stuff. And like, it didn't work. And then he's like saying like how he wants to like be positive about her and she can work through it in the end. But then it calls back to an earlier set. You remember when Yuugiri slapped Sakura because she was getting ready to say, I can't remember now. But like, we can work this out. We can make this work. But she slaps her before she can get it out. Well, she does that to fucking Kotaro. Slaps the shit out. I'm like, you should believe in her more. And like storms out. And he's like, but that's what I did say.
He's like, Nani? Like, didn't I just say that?
That's what I was saying. What are you talking about? This is why Kat likes Yuugiri so much, right?
Yeah.
This shit right here.
Yeah, this is why I love Yuugiri.
Yeah, so Sakura cools off like a little bit at one of the practice, and she finally heads back inside to continue practicing. And then she ends up kind of watching from their viewing window, and she realizes they're all in sync, but she's not. And it was probably because they all contributed to their survival on the mountain. They were working together, and she wasn't working with them together at all. She was just practicing. And then we'll go back to your analogy there, Bcom. She apologizes, and like then it all works out. And then like the next day, she's like in really good spirits, and she's so happy it's all working out. And so she's like, I'm gonna go for a run. And like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, oh god, Truck Coon's showing up. Truck Coon's going up. I saw it coming from a mile away.
Absolutely, 100% saw this coming. She
goes running down the path right through the gates, and boom, Truck Coon hits her. Which I fucking laughed my ass off. But the interesting thing that happened here is when the truck hit her, it gave her memories back.
Yep.
So she's got to deal with that next episode. So what we thought was a Yuugiri arc turned out to be more of a Sakura arc.
Well, but it wasn't even a Sakura arc. It was like a lead up to the Sakura arc.
Yeah, it's like the beginning of the Sakura arc.
You know the next episode is also going to be a Sakura episode. So like it's almost as if they've wasted like an episode that they didn't need to. Really, this should have fucking been Yugiri's episode. And if they don't give Yuugiri her own episode, I'm going to cut someone Because she deserves her own fucking episode. She deserves
does,
it.
and I'm upset. Yeah, hopefully
I'll be
next
right
episode,
back.
but yeah,
I
that's
need
the
to
only
make
time.
sure my doors are locked.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to be cut.
Wait, are you actually being serious?
Do you really think that would stop me,
I thought you
Leo?
were like
Do you
serious for a
think?
second. I was like, all right, let's take a pause.
Do you think that would stop me if I really wanted to come up there? No, you're adorable.
So, this episode we found out what Zombie Land Saga would be like if it was literally run with the wind. Because Sakura is playing the role of Kakaroo. Like, she's like, oh, everyone's like, I'm ahead of everybody else's pace and I'm not looking back at them enough. And like, when she goes and watches them from the outside, it's just like Kakaroo watching the race from the outside, or like finally seeing everybody else for the first time. And it was just like, and yeah, like Kotaro was playing the role of Haiji. Like, yeah, so you get it? Like, yeah, like you need to look at everybody else. And I
Are
was
you
just like,
saying that
I'm bored.
a sports anime is a male version of an idol anime? Bcom?
absolutely.
Yes, he is. At
You're
least for
not
one
wrong.
episode.
You're not wrong, though.
At least this episode, yeah, like
Yeah.
Leo said, like this, I just could not help but see all of the parallels between those two episodes. They're so similar in their themes, and like Sakura and Kakeru's like, the thing is, like, Sakura is less of like an annoyance than Kakeru, though. She's more easy to put up with. I don't know why, but yeah. And like I said, I really chuckled at that stupid barking at the end of the episode, and I was like, oh, it's Artemis from Sailor Moon. It's very cool.
Oh, he was also barking earlier on when they were like, oh no, they were at the river, but like he was
Yeah.
like in his weird like
His zombie
aggressive
dog
form.
form.
Yeah. And then when he got the fish, he went back to like his smaller form. So that was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this dog? Like, are they ever going to explain that as well? Like, they need to do some sort of explanation of the dog.
Oh
Like,
my god, he plays like nothing but like creatures. Like you said, he was Artemis, which was a cat. He's the principal from Boku no Hero Academia.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Nezu. Yeah, he just plays
Yeah.
nothing but creatures.
Could
yeah,
you
yeah, that
imagine-
made sense too.
Imagine
Yeah.
a interview with him for a job.
Oh
How
my god, he's done
fascinating that would be. Like him being like, I play nothing but creatures. Here are all
like
of the
Dragon
epic
Ball
things.
Super. He's the bear guy.
Yep. He
Full
plays
Metal
tons of
Alchemist,
like animal
Full Metal
char-
Alchemist. He's
characters.
gluttony.
Yeah.
Like he's just all this weird shit. It's all he plays.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I would love that job. Speaking of weird shit again, Karakuri Circus.
Weird
Weird.
shit. All right,
So weird.
you're at least enjoying it, right?
I am enjoying it, though I know that certain parts of this episode Kat will not have enjoyed, so I'm excited to hear Kat talk
I haven't
about
read her stuff yet. This will be fun.
Yeah,
If
okay.
Kat's here. Oh, Kat is
I'm
here.
here. Okay, so okay, episode 10. Did they really call it Francine? That's a stupid name
Yes.
for this episode. I don't know.
Oh, I would like to say Bcom. I just find it funny. Your picture for Francine in the character sheet is her
Yeah.
smiling.
Which she
Yup.
never. Okay.
Killing me. Make me snort.
After this episode, that is kind of hilarious.
Oh man. So
Anyway, moving on.
So at the beginning of this episode, the bro is still flipping out. Like, isn't it? It's like Lin. It's like, is it Lin and Yin?
The Jin
Jin
is
Jin
the one
and
who's
Yin,
flipping out.
Which
Yeah.
they did the fucking thing where they made like siblings' names rhyme. It's never a good idea. Never do that. People who
I
are
agree.
gonna
Don't do
have two brothers or whatever. So
What about twins?
It's even worse.
Then it's even worse.
Because they want to
Oh,
have
that's
their
bad.
own
That's bad.
identities. Okay?
I've got a friend named Jennifer, and her twin sister's named Jessica. So Jennifer and Jessica.
Oh god.
And then I have twin cousins Morgan and Megan.
Oh, I bet they hate
God.
that. I bet they hate it. I bet one of them goes by Meg, don't they?
No,
Oh.
but Jennifer and Jessica go by Jen and Jess. Morgan and Megan go by their full name.
Okay.
I'm just saying that.
We derailed hard as
Yeah.
fuck.
It took us like 2 seconds to derail. It's epic. Okay, so Jen flips out. And like, I guess Jin kidnapped Francine after the whole church proposal debacle that happened last episode, where he proposes to her even though they've known each other for like a week, and like they've never kissed, and they've not somehow it's totally fine that they're gonna get married, but I guess Jin is like, fuck, but I want to marry her, and he kidnaps her.
I don't think it was. I think the show makes it like they've been there a couple months.
It seemed pretty. I don't know. In any case, it's still too fucking soon. All right.
Hey, in that time period when you had a lifespan, if you were lucky, 40, you got married early.
I guess, but yeah. So I guess the older, like, Yen has been following them because he's like, "You stole my girl. I'm gonna get her back." And
for 9 years.
For 9 years. 9 fucking years. I guess it's also like, well, this is my brother. I should probably come get him. And like the narrator, he keeps talking like he is Yen, but I don't think he is. And I'm confused why he keeps talking like that.
No, it's Narumi. He got the memories.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
From the
way
water
he keeps
Vita,
saying
and
things.
he's telling it. That's how he's telling it, as his own memory.
It's so
Right.
confusing because he keeps, the tense he uses and stuff. Anyway,
Well, they have the same exact character model, so
also
anyways.
that. Yeah. So 9 years after they vanished, like, Yen is still looking for Jin. He finally finds Jin. Jin's like, "Oh, nothing's wrong. I'm fine. Francine is my wife now." And he's like acting fucking insane.
He's acting exactly like Sho Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
Like he's even got like the glasses that have like the white sheen on them because he's crazy.
Yeah.
And he's got like the Attack on Titan teeth in his mouth. Like he's
You almost expect him to like pull off his shirt and be like, "Francine lives inside me now," or some bullshit. Like, that's kind of what I expected.
No, this isn't Golden Kamuy.
And then he starts to cry and say Yen like betrayed him, or he's just a pussy bastard of a person. Like, he needs to get, I don't know what needs to happen to him, but he's a sad excuse for a human being. Jin says that he's continued to study alchemy and like will soon be able to cure Francine, who's apparently sick. And he's like Jin is angry at the villagers, but hasn't done anything to the villagers.
Yeah, because they've stolen Francine and locked her away so nobody else will get sick. But he hasn't done anything to get her back?
Yeah.
What?
I'm like, but you're mad,
What?
but you're not doing anything? Like, wouldn't you like go and escape with her like in the middle of the night?
My guess is that like he believes that like she doesn't love him. Like she tells Yin later. He tells Yin later in the episode, "Well, she never really loved me anyway." He was probably worried that she would just like run away and like go back to Yin.
But she didn't for 9 fucking years.
Yeah, she didn't for 9 years, which is the weird fucking thing.
I
about
don't
this.
get that at all.
I don't. Well, because like, don't they hint that like maybe she also loved Yin and
Yes.
Jin at the same time? And I'm like, well, girl, okay. I mean, if that's how you feel, I don't think it would work out if both of them were there at the same time.
Yeah, but in the end, she loved Yin more. That's obvious.
Yeah, I think she definitely, she's like, "You're the one I truly loved," and like she like apologizes to him for being with him, with Jin. Like, so I don't know, but it's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But yeah, so Yen goes to find Francine since he's alarmed. He's like, she's sick. And he sees her in this prison that the villagers have locked her in to prevent her from getting anyone else sick. And Francine thinks he must be like a vision, but is happy to see him and is like, "I love you the most." And Yen is like pissed off that the shackles are on her.
Oh, I would like to point out, if she's being imprisoned, that means she's being visited. They're giving her food. They're giving her water.
Yeah.
But then in the end, they burn it down? What?
Yeah. I don't get that either. I guess I guess when somebody came to try and save her, they probably had a meeting and they were like, this bitch is too much like pain of the ass to take care of anymore. We're just gonna burn her. It's like burn her entire building down.
Yeah, but she's hot as fuck. What are you guys thinking? Come on.
Well, they're thinking we don't want to die and we don't want our families to die from this disease that she has. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So then at this point, it gets a little weird. Yen, like, grabs her and is like, you're my wife, no matter what. He then asks her to, like, take off her clothes so he can examine her and cure her. And I'm like, sure, Yen, that's what you want. Uh-huh.
Well, I think it was a weird translation because in the end, he just wanted to, like, see her back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean,
he
he learned Western medicine or something while he
Chinese,
was traveling. So
Chinese
he's a doctor
acupuncture
now.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yen is like trying to be all amorous with Francine. And meanwhile, Francine is like so sick she can't even stand and like sits back down, and the villagers come and like chaotically separate them in this weird way. And I'm like, well, but you've been feeding her, so like someone's been coming over. Like
Yeah, there has been contact.
Like, I don't know what's happening in this situation. So Yen is like, I must save her. And so he works tirelessly on the Aquavita and finishes it so that he can, like, cure her. He runs over to give it to her, but the building is on fire. And because Francine has, like, had some emo moment where she's like, cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. And like decides that because she loves two people, she just needs to kill herself and be like the most emo stereotype of all time. So she does this.
I'm surprised she didn't go with an Evanescence song.
Oh yeah, or like breathe me, wake me up inside. Like she could have started singing that. I can't wake up. Yeah, I know. So
oh god.
I don't know. So she basically starts ranting about how like he needs to love someone more worthy than her, and like she lived with Jen for years and they've been fucking, and like Yen's like, I don't care, I love you anyway. And like also she cut off her hair, and they do like a weird pan of her hair cut off, which makes me wonder like, because later they show this dog that looks like it is composed of nothing but her hair. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, that dog is weird and suspect.
And I was like, did they just make a weird zombie creature out of her hair? And then like, you're a dog. Like, is that what that is?
It's a girl from Romero from the Zombie Land Saga.
Oh, God. It's weird. But anyway, so at first I thought, oh, so because Jin raped her for years, she doesn't feel worthy. But then based on what he's like Yen said to Jin later, I'm kind of wondering like, oh, feels bad because she loved both of them, I guess. I don't know. In any case, she just made this infinitely worse. Like, I don't know. So as she dies, she does this weird thing where she's like, next time I'll be insolent and cold to you, so it won't be hard when I love you.
She completely describes Shirogane.
Yeah, she basically is like, I'm going to set up Shiragane's character to be the way she is by saying this. And honestly, in my opinion, what she says doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, how does that make anything better? That's stupid.
Agreed.
I don't know. It does explain some things that happen, like this and then the next part, but like, it's still a stupid flashback, especially the idea that like, oh, these two are reincarnations of Narumi and Shirogane. Like, it's just, I don't know. So, but yeah, like I said, Yen has a little back and forth with Jen where he's like, you know, she loved you too, and she would have run away. And Jen's like, oh, I'm shocked by this. And like Yen leaves, but Jen stays behind and apparently does experiments with the Aquavita for like 20 years after Yen leaves. and he makes this like weird Frankenstein Francine that's like a puppet. So I guess it's like the first puppet, right? Is this Francine puppet?
Yeah, animatronic.
Yeah, but he can't make her laugh. So he makes the circuit like so first of all, my thought was he buys all these people, I guess. Well, he makes all these dolls to make a circus. Where is he getting to make the money?
Francine the laughs
for all of this.
Who knows?
Oh, he's an alchemist. He can turn things into gold, probably.
No, like I have to assume that Yen and Jin's family were wealthy because like it seems like neither of them have worked a day in their life, and yet they are going on adventures and stuff for
those
20 plus
comes
years.
From a family of puppeteers, and they make that sweet, sweet cash, I guess.
I don't know. Something's going on there. So anyway, he gets pissed off that like even with the circus people, Shirogane won't laugh. So he infects the people of the village who imprisoned Francine with this like disease he's made up called Zonifa. So he makes Zonifa basically. So they would be forced to try to make her laugh, since like the only way they can get cured is to make someone laugh. And so basically you find out like the beginning of the Midnight Circus is Jin, and the beginning of Zonifa is also Jin. So like Jin is the like origin of all evil in this story, basically. Yeah. And the clowns like kill the villagers in like twisted, fucked up ways, trying to make Francine laugh. And I just keep thinking like, how is killing villagers gonna make her laugh?
Well, at this point, Jin is still controlling everything, and he's fucking crazy as hell. So, maybe juggling a couple heads is what does it.
Yeah, maybe.
in his head.
Maybe. But yeah, so Francine, I don't know, at this point, the villagers infected with Zonifa can't die, because like that's like the final stage of Zonifa. One day Yen comes back and is like, oh, look what happened. Oh shit. And like tells some of the backstory of Jin and why he did what he did to the villagers. And you find out that old lady, what's her name?
Lucille.
Lucille was one of the villagers, like the originals, and that's why she looks old as fuck, because she is, because like...
Oh boy, did she not age well at fucking
all. Well, because that makes sense, right? Like, if you can't die, like, I'm sure you still age some. Yeah, so Yen decides he's going to use Aquavita on this well, but only allows those who want revenge on Jin to drink from it. He then tells them, like, what is in a chest, like, that will help them get revenge. And then it's like, oh, and then to make the well complete, I'll dissolve myself in it so that my memories are in it or something. Mm-hmm. That part is a little weird.
And it also controls them to want revenge on Jin.
Okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. When Lucille drank the Aquavitae, that reminded me a lot of, like, certain parts of Attack on Titan Season 3. Where it's like when you pass the Titan powers down, you don't just pass the power, you pass like all this information, like all these thoughts and feelings of like your ancestors and stuff through it as well. And so that was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. But then the old lady, Lucille, drinks the water the next day and she gains the knowledge and the desire to crush all automata and all this bullshit. And then you find out that Yin, like, because he's a dumbass, that's why he doesn't feel the same controlling power, like even though he drank the Aquavitae, which sounds like a cop-out to me.
Yeah.
And then then this old automata, which is one of the first ones from the circus, and it's guess what its fucking name is, Bcom.
It's Italian, so I know it.
No, okay, this doesn't seem Italian. It's called like Pantaloons, isn't it? Isn't that its name?
Pantalone. It means pants or pantaloons in Italian, yeah.
Why the fuck would you name a puppet after pants? That's stupid.
Did you see that puppet's pants though? Fucking styling.
No. You can't name a fucking... You can't name it Pantaloons. That's stupid. Anyway, I got angry at that, and then Jen gets angry eventually at the fake Francine for never laughing and being a soulless toy, and Pantaloons explains, fucking why am I saying this sentence? Anyway, Pantaloons, the puppet, explains that he gets angry at her and tries to kill her, and then Francine, like, the puppet Francine then makes the puppets able to have free will, which also doesn't make sense to me. Like, how can she, a puppet, make other puppets able to have free will?
And it's not clear what happened to Jin at this point.
Yeah, they don't say.
Did he die? Did he go on to do something else?
Like, turned on him and was like, "Oh, you gonna try to kill me? I'll kill you." I hope that's what happened.
So I just figured something out from Google searching Pantalone, which is really interesting.
It's also underwear. I know.
No. Actually, it's really more surprising that. So Pantaloon or Pantalone is basically the name of a stock character from 16th century Italian plays, basically. And so he's this cunning and rapacious yet often deceived Venetian merchant type character, who I guess showed up a lot in these like commedia dell'arte like type performances back then.
Well,
so I guess probably a lot of those characters that Francine has made are going to be based off of those Italian type of like character tropes. Which is
in some languages, it also means underwear. So
pantsu.
God.
So at this point, the puppets want to make Francine laugh, and they have free will. So they know that they must drink aquavite to be able to make her laugh, which makes no sense to me. How is drinking that going to help them make her laugh? None of these things, a lot of things in this episode they'll tell you.
I think it's because it makes them more human. It gives them more emotions, so they should be able to understand better.
I feel like they say things like that. Like, they say things like, "Oh, we have to drink the aquavita to make her laugh," but they don't explain why, and that doesn't make any sense. But like, oh, now that this has been established, it irritates. There's a lot of holes in this plot. There's a lot of things that got explained in this episode, but there's also a lot of holes. Anyway, then
one more thing I would mention. Pantalone's voice actor, I recognized right away. I was like, "Oh, that's Hijikata Toshizo from Golden Kamuy," and it is. It's Joji Nakata who's voicing him. So he's voicing him like in the exact same way as Hijikata from Golden Kamuy. So I was like, "Oh, that's very obvious who that is."
Huh. But yeah, so the puppet is here for the spring water. And he's like, "I'm gonna take it now, because then I can make Francine laugh." Which makes me also wonder, like, are we gonna run into this puppet Francine, like the original puppet Francine at some point? That'll be interesting. A fight breaks out to stop the puppet from drinking the water. The old man, like, blows himself up to kill the puppet, and he's like, "I've lived a full life, a fulfilling life, and have no regrets." And Narumi thinks that those words are like the same.
That was almost a good old man voice.
I know. And then Narumi's like, "Those are the same words that Francine had as her last words." And I'm like, but that makes no sense that she would say that. Because, like, she didn't get to spend any time with the one that she really loved. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. I have to agree with you. Like,
that makes no sense at all. A lot of things about this episode didn't make sense. I do like that they gave us some backstory to the Midnight Circus and Zonafa and everything, but like they left also a lot of plot holes. And then
they did give us backstory. It was that Jin got NTR'd so hard that he became the root of all evil. And then also, like, captured the girl and raped her for 9 years.
Well,
it's like,
like,
okay,
it
that's
was like
great.
kind of rape and kind of not. Like, we don't know. And then
Yeah.
Then apparently,
the show implies she willingly stayed for 9 years.
Yeah. The show is it's so weird.
Which my problem with that is what happened to the orphan children and the old people she left behind? They surely died, right?
Maybe they figured out a way to live on their own based on like how she showed them to.
I expect an orphan or two probably made it. Couple definitely died, but most of the orphans definitely got wrecked.
That would be really interesting. Like, I don't know how much time has passed since, because like Lucille is still around. I guess it's hundreds of years. So I was gonna say if any of the orphans were adults now and they recognized Shirogane or something, but I doubt that will happen because I think too much time has passed. But also they're in Prague, so they're not gonna be there.
No, I don't think any of these people are alive anymore. Unless they found some aqua vitae.
Yeah,
I want to move on from that episode because it was dumb and move on to a better episode. Bloom Into You. You guys all right with that?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so...
have you ever dreamed of a memory, Bcom?
I think I have on rare occasion, but I almost never remember my dreams. But I definitely have dreamed of memories before.
I've never dreamed of a memory.
I'll typically alter my memories when I dream of them, though, because it's typically when I have a dream like that, it's because I want to change something about that memory.
I've never done that either. That's so weird to me.
I've also had dreams that felt so real that they became memories, and I got them confused with memories, like actual real memories that happened. I had this really weird dream that I cut off the tip of my cat's tail when I was a little kid.
Okay.
What?
And I thought I actually did it for a long time. And my parents were like, no, you never did that. What the fuck are you talking about?
I've never done that either. Kat, what about you? You ever had like memories that are dreams or anything? I've never relived nothing like that. Yeah.
I mean, I've had some bizarre dreams in my life, but I've never gotten it mixed up.
I've had like repeating dreams that change a little, but nothing from like a memory or anything like that, or confused in Bcom's case as an actual memory.
Yeah.
So,
So the reason we're talking about memories is because Bloom starts with one in episode 10. It opens with like Toko is asking the other girls at lunch if they've ever had a dream where they totally relive a moment from their lives. And because apparently Toko has been having this recurring dream. And Sayaka suggests like, well, maybe it's happened because you're thinking so much about that memory when you're awake, and then when you go to sleep, you keep thinking about it. And Toko's like, maybe that's true. So Koyomi has finished the first draft of her script for the stage play, and like yoinks it out of her hands so she can copy it and like distribute it to the rest of the cast. Koyomi like was like afraid to have everybody read it, but you know, she goes to give one to Toko and gets a bit close to her while reading it. And Yu kind of like awkwardly like steps away from her, puts some distance between them, which I think now is because she's like uncomfortable being so close to Toko because like she knows she's feeling things for her.
Yeah, her fucking hormones are starting to kick in,
Whereas
basically.
Toko just hasn't realized that yet and is like, oh, I guess I took things way too far in that shed, which is true, but also incorrect at the same time. So,
boy.
In Koyomi's script, when they talk about it, it really reminded me of the story Rashomon. Well, actually, the movie Rashomon by Akira Kurosawa. Because, like, the main character is a girl in a hospital with amnesia. And the Rashomon part is that she's visited by 3 people, her lover, a family member, and a friend, who all recount, like, different stories about who she used to be. And so she doesn't know who to believe and, like, who is telling the true version of who she really was. And so reading it, Toko's like a bit frightened by Koyomi's insight. Like Koyomi doesn't even know that much about her, but she knows enough to know that like this empty husk of a person who doesn't know really who she is a perfect character for Toko to play.
Yeah, it's a little interesting how that worked out.
Yeah. So Kiyomi, she wrote the script without anybody's name on it, so they could just read it without knowing their roles first. But Toko's smart, so she figured out that she's the main character, obviously. Her lover is supposed to be played by Sayaka, and I think the other, like, Dojima is going to be playing, like, one of the guys, like, either a younger brother or something, and, like, the other guy is playing the classmate, and Yu is going to play this, like, minor role of a nurse.
Don't they even joke about how, like, if maybe the guys had the lead roles?
Yeah, they totally
like, a gay
do.
thing.
It's like, Koyomi's like, oh no, like I thought like Sayaka would fit better because like some people joke about her like you're a married couple or something. And of course Dojima, like one of the guys is like, wait, girls can't love girls. Well, he doesn't actually say that. He's just like he's like girls love girls.
Well, Japan.
And I also wondered, like, would this actually be acceptable in a Japanese high school? Like, for them?
I think so. like I don't like it can't be like anime have done the stupid cross-dressing like play
but it's different to have like we're cross-dressing as opposed to it being like these two people are love interests and this is a serious play.
You're right that this is like much more direct, and especially how like the two teachers in this show feel about hiding their relationship.
Yeah,
it's interesting whether that would be appropriate or not.
I'd also like to say Koyomi is basically writing her story how she literally sees things.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Koyomi has got some real insight for sure into these dynamics. So Toko has organized a 2-night study camp over summer break so they can all rehearse the play at this like lodge that's owned by the school where students can go for like study breaks and stuff. And they're eating some Dr. Donuts, and Yu teases Toko, wondering if she'll be able to hold herself back because they're going to be sleeping in the same room together. And Toko tells Yu, like, I've been working really hard to hold myself back, and I'll be able to, I promise. And she's like, the last thing I want is for you to hate me. And Yu basically tells her, don't worry about that, but she appreciates that she's like showing some restraint. Riko, their teacher, makes a call to a former student council member named Ichigaya to ask him to come watch the rehearsals for the new play because she feels he'd be interested because he used to be, I think, on the student council. And she's not that interested at first, but when she mentions that the star of the play is a girl named Nanami, he gets really interested. It's very clear he knew Toko's older sister.
Mm-hmm.
So also funny during that scene is that Miyako is like trying to kiss Riko while she's on the phone, and like Riko has to like push her face away. It's very cute.
Which is just like a typical thing for any relationship. Really, I think
anybody can identify with that. Yeah. So there's a brief scene where Toko thinks she wants to write out a wish and hang it on a tree outside the school like other people are doing. But she says that like what she really wants to write is like so deep inside of her that she couldn't even really express it if she wanted to. She ends up like sort of like crumpling the paper and hanging it like frustratedly on the tree, like blank as her wish. And then we move on to the last section of the episode, Mirage, where it's summer break and Yu is determined not to rely on Toko to have fun. So she ends up just randomly meeting her old softball friend Natsuki while they're out for a run and just goes around doing things with her. But when she does things, like she buys these like cute pajamas, but not too cute, just like a girl would buy for like their boyfriend or for their girlfriend or anything for the sleepover. And like Natsuki picks up on this, and then they go to Miyako's cafe to like hang out. And it's also clear that like Yu just can't stop talking about Nanami anytime she talks about her friends, and Natsuki's picking up on it. Miyako is picking up on it. It's very clear that this is all that's on Yu's mind. And Natsuki's more surprised that like Yu even cares about like someone enough to complain about them, because like previously she just never seemed to care about anything enough, like especially softball, to complain about it. And Natsuki had wanted to invite her to play softball together in high school and go to the same high school, but held back because she knew that like Yu was the type of person who would just go with the flow and would go there even if it wasn't what she truly wanted. So it was nice of Natsuki to be considerate like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end of the scene, like just to nail it in, like she gets a notification, Yu does, on her phone, and she's like, oh my god, is it finally Toko? And it's just like a software update. And man, can I identify with getting stupid software updates on my phone. God damn.
I think everyone can also identify with like the whole, ooh, I shouldn't text first, I should wait for them to text first thing.
Right. So speaking of which,
I have a problem with this. So you saying one thing about like in the texting, but then she's wanting the opposite.
Oh yeah, well she's totally lying to herself.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of frustrating to me because this is generally thought of as a negative stereotype for women.
Oh, when you say one thing, but they actually really want the
something
other.
Different, yeah. And it just really surprised me that a female author went with this. She put this in her story.
Yeah, I think it's more dangerous stereotype when it comes to like having sex or intimate relationships. I think that's where it really gets dangerous, because like if you have guys trained to think that when girls say no, they really mean yes, then that is a problem for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I went with it. And I'm just like, it's kind of like big and upfront in this episode. And I was just like, it just really surprised me a female author went with it. And I was like, I don't know, it felt like they reinforced it. Like, it's really true. And I'm like, to an extent, but it's kind of like a negative thing, and like people joke about it or use it against women, whatever.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
That's a good point because that is very heavy in this episode, especially.
Mm-hmm.
So
we do get to see Toko's perspective finally. She's eating dinner with her family, and her father kind of like sternly tells her, like, you don't need to revive this student council play just for your sister's sake, which makes her pretty angry, because she goes back to her room and she's like, I'm doing this for myself. And he still says stuff like that. But I don't think she is doing it for herself. Like, I think he's completely right in saying, like, you don't need to do this. We see her then, like, pick up her phone and struggle not to message you. She's typing in full messages and then just deleting them. And then eventually she just gives in and she just calls you to talk and just hear the sound of her voice. And there's this whole thing where like Toko just relaxes hearing Yu's like mundane responses to her questions, like knowing that like she doesn't really care about like the drama that's going on in her life, but she'll still be there to like comfort her. And on the other end of the phone conversation, like Yu is thinking about how anxious it makes her to talk to Toko because she's such a handful, but she's starting to really like having her hands full with her. And so finally, after the credits, we see the recurring dream that Toko was talking about at the beginning. It's memories from her childhood with her older sister, but then she's awakened by the blaring siren of an ambulance, obviously coming to get her sister. And she wakes up and grabs a family photo out of her drawer, and she declares, like, I'm going to become my sister. And so, yeah, like her dad was right.
And she feels responsible for her death because of a fucking paper, rock, scissors game. And she had to go to the store instead.
Yeah. I still am struggling with Toko's character. Like, I still don't firmly get where she's coming from.
Did you say this got fleshed out in an earlier episode?
Yeah, it did. So they explained like how she wants to become her sister, or how like when her sister died, everybody basically asked her like, "Oh, you need to be your sister for her sake. You need to like live up to what she was."
They asked her to become that. I think she just assumed that role because she felt like it was empty, and that's something that happens when an older sibling dies. Like, I have a friend who his older brother died and something similar happened where he kind of assumed that role. I do think it's something that happens in real life.
It's weird because Toko is such a strong character and she acts so uninfluenced by anybody else that I'm surprised she was that influenced by everybody else at an earlier period in time.
Yeah, but I think it's because she puts up such a front. Like, I think it is all fake, and she really is like influenced by people. And so, yeah, that's like, like with both her and Yu, they are living sort of fake lives at this moment. Like, especially Yu right now, because she's clearly starting to feel love for Toko, and Toko is living to be her sister. And it's, they need to start living their own lives, basically, and like be true to themselves.
Not doing well, and I don't even know if what Yu is doing, thinking that that's what Toko wants, is really what Toko wants. Like Leo was saying, because Toko keeps saying, like, I want you to not love me and me love you, because that's what I love about you. But like, she does all this stuff and wants you to reciprocate, which makes me think she really wants you to love her.
So, definitely.
Yeah, both of them are very contradicting about what they say and then what they actually think.
Yeah.
So it's kind of bad.
Well, I think that's about it, though. Anything else on that?
It was kind of a slow episode.
I agree. I assume the study camp is going to come next, and that will be more interesting.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Because like it's gotta come to a head soon. Like they only have so many episodes left. So
Yeah. Okay. So, everybody, we thank you for listening. If you really, really like us, give us some reviews.
even if you fucking hate us, I don't know why you're listening to this if you hate us, but like leave a review and tell us to go like
God damn
suck
it.
dick, and like I will read it. Like whatever you want to do.
We'd really like it if you liked, followed, subscribed. It will keep Kat from threatening you. But if you do like Kat threatening you, join our Discord.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And we could probably get her to send you private messages of threatening you with your name and everything like that. You can find us on on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. We're also on Twitter at Nerdom and Other. You'll get all kinds of updates there and all that stuff. And also check out our new podcast network, Anime Radicals, at animeradicals.com. And we will see everybody next week.
Yeah.
Later.
Bye.